Today is Tuesday, January 31st, and you're listening to the Beer Temple Podcast.
Remember, this is what we wanted. Remember, this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again. Remember, this is what we wanted. Remember, this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again.
Hello, and welcome to the Beer Temple Podcast. I am your co-host, Mike Shalau. I'm here with your other co-host, Chris Quinn. Chris, how you doing?
Hey, bartender. Beer stockel my B-Wiz, ASAP. You know what I mean?
You heard it here first, but it's not the last time
You
you're
got
going to
it,
hear
fam.
it.
Yeah,
Coming right up.
exactly. I'm doing well. I'm doing very well.
Are you excited to... Should we explain what you were just talking about?
I think I did just explain what we were just talking about.
Right.
Yeah.
That was from the predictions episode, and now it's just happening.
Yes.
That the hottest serving trend will be beer stockling B-Wizzles.
Yeah.
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 Moving on.
Yeah, moving on. How are you?
Good.
That's
Good.
how I am.
Yeah, labeled a lot of bottles today, which is a very tedious task.
Good. I've had a little bit of a setback in the naming of our Beechwood beer. I think we talked about it. Maybe 5% human was an idea we were trying to name,
Yep.
but they came back to us with some names that they think are better.
Bub the Love Sponge.
Yeah. No, they didn't go with that one. That probably would have been better than what they went with.
All right, so defaming
Yeah.
Beechwood on air.
Yeah.
Before they even actually make the beer. That's a solid move.
That's cool.
Yeah, it's a good move.
It's not Beechwood. It's just a couple people there, I'm sure, who thought that
A couple bad apples.
the ideas that they had were good. Okay. Now I just have to tactfully
Yeah.
suggest
Should
other
we take
names.
this over, Serge? Can you start this again?
Yeah, right?
I'm just
No,
kidding.
we're good to go. No.
Yeah.
They wanted, their suggestions were, I probably shouldn't say it. I mean, this is stuff that was emailed to me. I shouldn't just start going saying this stuff on there.
No, especially because you...
Yeah.
All right.
Anyway.
Anyways, that's good.
Yeah,
This
but
is
that's an
going.
update.
This
That's-
is going great so far.
This is how they all
You
go,
know what?
Eric.
There's a reason that usually guests don't speak until they're introduced. There's a
And it's
reason.
our confidence levels.
Yeah, we have to build them up slowly. We're fragile people.
It's not doing well.
Yeah, but
And pretty fragile. Very sensitive.
yeah, but yeah.
So-
Overall, good weekend. Had a good Sunday. Had a good weekend overall.
Nice little Sunday.
Nice Sunday, especially was a good one for me.
Anything specific?
You like watching young, promising quarterbacks get injured and someone's season falling apart.
It's all dependent. Everything in life is dependent on things.
Go Birds.
Do I like it if it means my team has a better chance of going to the Super Bowl? Then yes, I do like watching that happen. I do,
You're not wearing your brand new Eagles hat. What's up with that?
Oh, yeah, that one?
Brand new
Yeah.
Eagles hat. The one you bought
I do have
once
it.
they won and went to the NFC Championship.
Yeah.
Because you're from
Still has,
Philadelphia?
still has the tag on it.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Well, that's cool. That's what
from
the kids
from
wear.
the area-ish
Yeah,
of
right.
Philly.
Yeah, from the area. I'm from Delco,
Yeah.
so that's where I'm technically
Rehoboth
from.
Beach.
Yeah, not Rehoboth Beach. That's where Dogfish Head is from.
That's yeah.
Yes. But, you just had some. I thought it was a B-Wizzle. I had a 14-year-old Belgian beer earlier today that I thought was very nice. I would have
still
expected
nacht.
it to be. I think we picked it blind. We thought it was going to be dead, but it was very much not dead as far as I'm concerned.
I do love that series you're doing on Instagram now, the Is It Dead series where you and someone else drinks
It's just a way too long aged
yeah,
beer.
Yeah, ill-advised.
None of them
age.
have been over. We've done 4 now. None of them have been like completely dead. I mean,
No.
and it's going to happen. I mean,
Yeah.
I'm shocked it hasn't happened yet.
Well,
I mean, usually it's the other way around. You have 4 of 4 and they're all dead.
right. I mean, you're choosing beers that could stand up to aging. Obviously,
Sure.
You're not like trying to age Micropixel, a 3.8% light pale ale.
right. or
Beguile.
perhaps
You're aging bigger
a
things.
session barley wine, a malty boy, if you
You
will.
might be able to age that one, but like a micro amount of age because it's only a session barley wine. It's not a full
Right.
barley wine.
Right, micro aging.
It probably would only last 5 years as opposed to 15.
15.
years.
I would think like you just take, instead of years, you just take months or weeks.
Mm-hmm.
Age
It's the best way to do
age
it.
it for 5 weeks,
Perhaps.
and then it'll be perfect.
In the fermenter, and then you drink it fresh when it comes out.
Exactly.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Anyway, should we introduce our guests
No, thank you.
in order of following the rules?
Coolness? Yeah. In order of following the rules. So we're gonna do a little bit of we're gonna go out of order.
You
We're
could go best hair.
could.
It's
But I've already-
really close.
Then we're definitely out of order then, because I was the second one to speak, and I definitely shouldn't be second no matter which order we're going in.
I can't. Have I told you how many people think I'm bald because of this? Like, I just meet people that have listened to the show, and there's multiple people who are like, "Oh, I thought you were bald."
That's great. It's awesome.
I think it's that high testosterone, low voice I have.
I would love to know what people think my hair looks like, and then when they see me,
They
just
think
to
you have
get
a-
that, if
a
I could
thick
like
shock of
slow,
curly
yeah,
hair.
like that just slow motion, just moment when they're like, oh,
Yeah. It's just been funny. Multiple people. I'm like, oh, it's nice to meet you. Like, huh, I thought you were bald. Why?
funny. Nobody ever says that to me, but. So
Maybe-
yeah, we
maybe
can
one
introduce.
day I'll
So we have
fulfill their
back after not that long, certainly not compared to how long it had been previously.
Yeah.
multiple years previous.
Not since
Kevin
last year.
Carey, not the senior member of the panel, but the one who follows the rules the most. So he,
The coolest member of the
Yeah.
panel with the best hair.
which we also have no history of going with because Ed always breaks the rules, and we still introduce him first. So it's obviously quite personal in this case.
That's right.
How are you, Kevin?
I'm doing pretty good.
Thanks for bringing all the beer.
Yeah, no problem. I brought enough beer for all the people who are here.
Several
And-
shows.
Yeah, for several shows.
Several episodes.
They're all light beers, though, so it's good.
They are. Yeah.
Thanks for bringing the
Doing
Coors
good.
Lights.
Yeah.
Coors Light adjacent.
Yeah.
Session barley wine.
But you did bring a light lager as well, right?
A pseudo light lager.
Well, what's the difference?
It's
Please
actually
tell.
high. It's high in ABV.
Oh, got it.
So we, for whatever January was this year, last year, obviously dry January was pretty bad for a lot of people. This year seems to be a little bit better. But we have 3 under 4% beers on tap in the tap room, one of which is a cream ale that we fermented with Lutra from Omega Yeast.
What's
Is that-
Lutra?
Lutra is the it's the one they're selling as like a lager adjacent, like it could make a lager.
Lager
It's like a super
adjacent.
clean Kvike
Super
yeast,
clean
right?
Kvike yeast, yeah.
Yep.
Got it.
So it is a pseudo lager, which makes sense. It's really good.
Can't-
It's really clean.
Good.
Yeah, it's
Worked.
And what's it called?
It's called Field Trip.
Field trip.
Yep.
So it's for children.
Kinder beer.
Yeah.
No.
Oh.
No, it
Oh.
was-
Kev, you heard it here first, folks. Kevin from Beguile
Yeah.
told
First
you
thing
his
I
barley
thought-
wine is for babies.
First thing I thought I
Only
would've
in
We're
China.
not in China.
I'm
Yeah.
glad I asked because I would have just given it to my children and said, well, they made it for her,
Yeah.
obviously.
It's for field. You send it with your children on the first field trip
To China.
in their lunch.
And I also, so now I do like the idea of everything having to be pseudo if it's a lager adjacent yeast. And let's make all the already confusing styles using this yeast. So let's make cold IPAs,
Pseudo cold IPA.
a pseudo
So you're-
cold IPA.
So you're
it's
not sure.
it's not a lager.
It's also
it's an
not
ale.
cold. You have to drink
So-
them hot.
Yeah,
We did-
I want a pseudo cold IPA using.
Yeah,
We did
So
lager.
it's just an IPA now.
Yeah.
Yeah,
we did
got, like-
lager it. For like,
Okay,
you
so
know,
it's lagered.
It's lagered, but it's not a lager. It's an ale yeast.
Well, I hope you feel good about deceiving all these people about this being.
It clearly says American pseudo lager, so no part of it says is this serious. So,
Well, I'll have one of those after I'm finished with this delicious micropixel.
and then you add your ABVs up, and you're like, oh, that was only
I only had one beer.
one beer.
What a time to be alive.
Suppose we should introduce the other.
Sergio.
Oh, hey, Serge. What's up? That's true. You know what we haven't done for a while, which we should do
Just
right now
completely
before I
not
forget?
introduce a guest.
Well, yeah, we probably
I'm
haven't
good.
done that
I'm
in a while.
good. It's just good
We
to
haven't
see you
thanked
guys.
we haven't thanked our listeners.
Oh yeah,
for tuning in.
Gotta thank the listeners.
We haven't thanked WLPN 105.5 FM Lumpin Radio for having us on, and we haven't thanked everyone who's been sending in letters. I got a handwritten letter. We'll get to it at some point. Maybe we should just do it right now.
Yeah, it's
You know what? Maybe we should introduce our guest.
I'm fine, guys. I'm just a big fan myself, and for you to thank me, it means a lot. So I just appreciate being here and being able to
For us to
watch
thank
the
you. We haven't
magic
thanked you.
I don't
happen.
think anyone's thanked you.
No one's
We're
thanked you.
definitely not thanking
So
you.
I think this is
Oh, we're thanking the
misplaced.
fans, though, he said.
Oh,
Yeah, he was right.
I
He was right.
see.
Yeah, the fan. WF fan.
Yes.
And thanking guests as well, I think is where you were going with that.
Wasn't.
Oh, okay.
We can, though. But we have Mr. Eric Kapraun. What's up? Friend of the show.
Hello.
Longtime guest. Very senior member of the show.
First time fan.
First time?
First time fan.
First time you haven't
Yes.
been on some sort of shitty gimmick show in a while.
Like what are we gonna draft today?
Yeah. So today,
What are we gonna,
Friendship.
what are we gonna drought today?
yeah,
How long can the title of this episode be?
yeah.
The fantasy draft bottle cap,
Yeah.
salary cap, fantasy
Yeah.
draft.
Have you guys had any beers lately that you've been digging on, or any that you're looking forward to having?
Yeah, I surprise. I was at New Glarus recently.
Oh,
Hadn't been there. I went on the Hard Hat tour for the first time.
that's right. Yeah, you were telling me.
Really exciting. Been meaning to do that for a long time. And their honey box called Cabin Fever, and it was great. And I don't think they miss. So
Yeah.
I feel like I'm always on here just like simping for Dan Carey. But
Stay humble, Dan. I mean, I think that's this show is mostly just simping for Dan Carey whenever it comes
It's a
up.
lot. Yeah. Yeah.
No one's been like, you know what, overrated. Everyone's like, that man.
I think you're going to
Killing
be simping next episode as well. Pretty hard.
Oh yeah, I'm a big time simp.
Yeah.
Or the next
Guest.
guest,
We have him
not
on.
these guests.
Yeah. No. No one's simping.
Actually, also these guests.
Oh. He broke character.
The kayfabe could not sustain. Yeah.
Have you had any beers lately, Mike? That you've dug?
Honestly, I'm drinking this Micropixel. It's a 3.8% American Pale Ale that from Beguile that is tasting really great. I find myself, despite what Scan Data says, really loving low ABV beers. And this and then Spite Light and all these session IPA pale ale things that are happening. I'm a big fan.
I'm still drinking a lot of that off black from Hopewell. I think I talked about it last episode. One of my favorites from them. But that 14-year-old Still Knocked is, for me, very memorable.
Yeah,
Very memorable. So
that's great.
if you guys have access to any Still Knocked, just look at the top of the bottle cap, see whatever year it is, and then put it somewhere and come back until that year on the label was 14 years ago.
Or
and then drink it.
Microwave it for like 15, 20 seconds.
That'll probably, with the metal cap on it.
Yeah.
That'll go real well. Yeah.
Quick aging.
Yeah.
with Mike.
So that was
Don't do that, please.
really, really, really good. How about you, Kevin?
I'm not to copy Mike, but there's a reason why we did a couple beers under 4%. Seem a little crazy, as Mike said. Scan data says otherwise, but we're seeing our low ABV beers selling better and better. But I also just find myself enjoying. Like I haven't found any NA beers that I like that I'll drink again. But these, I don't know. There's something different about
NA adjacent.
Yeah.
NA enough.
Yeah.
But yeah, so drinking. I've been drinking the heck out of this English mild that we have. Perhaps, which is a collaboration we did with Alarmist Brewing. Very good, very tasty. It's 3.3%.
What style is it?
It is a session barley wine.
There you go.
So on the label it
the
says
first one ever made.
First one ever. It says on the label session barley wine. But on the menu board at Beagle, it says English mild because
Got it.
Coward.
we gave it. Well, customer service is important, and there was probably 3 out of every 4. It's probably higher than that. Just about
4 out of every 4.
customers were like, I don't get it. What are you guys trying to do? And so we changed it to English mild.
A little too meta. Like, well, okay, so let's go through.
You guys you're very earnest.
Let's go through
So they're like, what
malt-driven
is this?
English ales. Let's go through the whole family, okay?
Yeah.
And then they go through it, and then so you see how they're adjacent.
Yeah. Right.
Oh, I get it. Anyway, wait, where are you? You've left. You've already gone.
Yeah, and
Okay.
you're like, well, let's start. Everything's just a point on a curve, right? It's all a spectrum of flavors.
Yeah.
So where do we begin?
Yes.
I have had Farnham Hill ciders.
Yes.
Been drinking a lot of those lately.
They are exceptionally good.
Fantastic.
Very,
we have them
very
on
good.
on tap at the brewery right now.
Oh, so you're just another shill for your
So
own
I'm-
stuff. I get it.
Yeah, shilling.
Do you have any earnest things that you want to talk about? No, I'm kidding.
Just trying to sell anything under 4%. It's the next big thing.
Yeah. So what
The
should
next
we?
big little thing, maybe, you know? Right, guys?
Heyo.
Oh, that's why we have him here.
Heyo.
Thank you.
Yeah. See ya.
He's le- oh,
yeah,
he's
he just put his.
leaving.
He doesn't realize it's an audio medium, so his visual antics aren't working.
He's smashing 2 dicey Rileys together
yeah,
and drinking them like Stone Cold Steve Austin.
It's true. I'll take one.
I'll take one.
So where should we start?
Someone didn't bring enough.
I brought so much beer.
Where? So what? Where should we go, Mike? Should we give a little bit of a recap, like when you're watching like a Netflix show or something like that?
Previously on the Beer Temple podcast.
Yeah. So we did the state of the styles.
Lager is dead. IPA is dead. Every style is dead.
You guys
So
had
that
like,
we
It's like
talked
a
about so
24
far.
recap. Everyone's dead.
but had
yeah.
you known about the pseudo lager?
Pseudo lager, hot.
Hot.
Pseudo
Ascendant.
hot. Yeah.
Pseudo hot.
Yeah.
Ascendant. Adjacent. Ascendant.
Yeah. Send it to adjacent.
Yeah. Yeah, it's adjacent to ascendant, aka in decline. Yeah, so we did the big ones. We did IPA. Do we want to start there, or are we going to do some topical stuff? I think we should. What do you think?
Let's start there.
Okay.
Yeah.
So we've done pale ales, we've done lagers, and we've done
Then
stouts.
we're moving to chili beer.
Right. Now we're moving. Yeah, we'll get the chili beer maybe later. We'll see if that style is ascendant or in retrograde right now.
It might be both.
Yes. Thanks, Serge. Thank you. Oh, thank you.
I think it's
Just
important to
don't hear
note
them.
that the first 4-pack that went was a session barley wine.
True.
So
Well, we do love our milds around here.
It's true.
I wasn't playing favorites. I just brought a delicious beer to enjoy.
Sure. It's just pandering left
No
and
pandering.
right.
No pandering, no shilling, no simping. Just friendship.
So I think we should. I mean, there's more styles than just lager, pale ale, and stout.
There's
So
kettle sour.
yeah, yes.
There's milkshake IPA.
Well, I think yes. No, well, we did pale ale.
Oh, we did do milkshake IPA.
So I think now we'll bring some guests in and we'll see what they talk about. But we should probably explain to it this concept to them because we've given them no heads up essentially of what's going on. So some things are
Welcome to
pretty
the show,
standard.
guys.
Yeah.
Cool.
So we're just going to talk about essentially where we think different categories of beer are and maybe where they're going. You know, hot takes welcome. Hot takes always appreciated. So where do you want to go next? Do you have a certain category you want to start with, Mike? Or?
This is a smaller category, but I think we have one of the foremost experts on it here at Blonde Ale, to be honest. Let's talk about Blonde Ale.
Okay. That's a specific one.
Yeah.
Okay.
Because I was talking with Kevin about it. 'Cause,
Oh, okay.
like, Blonde Ale is something that, like, in craft beer 1.0 was every
Yes.
brew pub had a Blonde Ale.
Right. And they had like a fruited wheat beer.
I'll
as well.
lump in like
a
golden,
berry wheat or something.
golden ale, like
Yeah.
like that kind of like
gold ale,
that
blonde
vibe.
ale, but
The-
not
the
a
non-
Belgian, not a
the-
Belgian blonde. You're
no,
talking like an American
the
blonde.
non-IPA pale ale. You know, it's
Right.
like the non-hop driven pale beer.
Okay. Are we
Like-
counting cream ales?
Sure,
Okay.
why not?
Got it.
But this family of lower ABV, probably malt and drinkability driven beers.
Okay.
The blonde ale, the cream ale.
Yeah, I think you could throw cream ale in there because it's 4%, so like 4% to like 5.5%.
And I think if you were to think about it, you would think blonde ale is barely existing.
I mean, okay, yeah, I would
It's,
probably think
it's
that.
not one of the first styles you think of. But I was talking to Kevin, and it's on fire for you guys right now, right?
We had a great year in 2022, and it's always been a huge part of our production. It accounts for at least half of what we distribute. But just in January, we doubled. Last January is different. It's hard to compare, but coming off of 2022 being so good for blonde, and then also just seeing it's not just in keg, it's in package as well. For whatever reason, it's selling through. Usually January, February is our slow season. Even December, we see a dip in blonde. Obviously, summer is a hot time, so it's kind of a weird trajectory for a blonde ale in the Midwest. As it gets colder, it dips a little bit. But for some reason, the dip didn't happen in January like we thought it would. Right around the same time that the recipe for Fat Tire changed, which I thought, when I saw the color of Fat Tire, I thought that was interesting. There's been other bigger
They're coming
breweries.
for you.
Well, there has been other bigger breweries that have tried blonde ale. I think it's 803.
805.
805 in California is I think that's their best-selling beer.
I think it is by
Firestone Walker.
far.
Yeah.
Oh yeah,
Yeah.
It's massive.
So it's just been something I feel like it's always been simmering out there. We have some accounts that have been pouring that beer for 5 years, and they're and now we're starting to see more and more people put it on as a an all-the-time draft option. So in the wintertime is I guess what kind of sparked my comment to you was that it goes against the season.
So do you think this is a Beguile blonde ale thing, or do you think that this could be a larger trend in craft beer?
I hope it's a larger trend. I think, like we mentioned earlier, drinking 4 to 5% lighter beers, whether it's a lager or our blonde ale, which drinks like a lager. I think that is a segment that can be important, be big, because the blonde, lagers are trying to is it growing? Is it not? Is it on fire? Is it not? It's still trying to find its place. I think lagers will follow the European model. Everyone makes lagers in Europe, and they've been doing it for 400 years or whatever. So I think that we're headed in that direction.
You think blonde ale is the lager of North America? Is that what you just said? Do I have that right?
I think it's a similar concept. It's a beer that you can drink a bunch of. So in our, when you are having a couple beers with friends, it has a ton of flavor. You can drink more than 2 or 3 and still, feel pretty good. But it's So from that standpoint, I'm trying to avoid saying it's sessionable, but it is like drinking a bunch of lagers, drinking a bunch of 5% blonde ales. I don't know. It's something that we've seen internally for a long time, but convincing the general public, when you're convincing a beer buyer to take on a 5.4% blonde ale, it's not very sexy.
Well, it feels to me like it's probably doing very well in many regions, but there's kind of only 1 or 2 breweries that are kind of dominating that. 805, you guys here are selling a bunch of blonde ale. I think every region that has some sort of significant population probably has a brewery that is crushing blonde ale. But it just doesn't have that cachet of people being well, we're gonna do our spin on blonde ale. It's a much smaller runway to land the plane on than IPA is. So it's your version of blonde ale, if it's too different, then just becomes something else or just isn't a good blonde ale. So you have to kind of nail a style, and nail the profile. Yeah, blonde ale. How do you think? What's the status of blonde ale overall? Strong.
Strong to quite strong.
Strong to quite strong.
I hope so. Yeah,
Strong
I think
to Mike Strong.
as it relates to big things for the Beguile blonde ale, but I think in general, I hope my personal drinking preference is I'd like to see more lagers proliferate. I think it's hard for small producers to make lagers, so that's where the blonde ale is one of those ones. It's a 14-day start to finish beer you're not using up tank space to make I really wanted us to make an American light lager for a dry January, but looking at how long that was going to take, like, well,
and
that's
how much you could reasonably charge.
Yeah, those things
This
are
math
not
isn't working at all.
Yeah.
So with the American Blonde Ale, you do get a similar drinking experience as a really well-made lager.
Let me ask a question that just kind of came to mind because we've got 3 people who work at 3 different breweries, and would you rather have a beer that you make of a particular style, see the entire category get more popular, or would you like to see it remain not as popular, but you hold kind of a dominant position within that style? Or does it not matter? Because I think my tendency would be like, I want to dominate a smaller category than have an IPA and then have IPAs explode. That might be a bad, because that's so crowded.
Mine's
IPA.
probably very specific, but I'd much rather see Saison grow significantly because it's not that big right now. So even if you were to dominate it, it would not be that much to dominate as far as dollars.
But you might be able to like grow it slightly just with the popularity of your. I'm thinking like Yards out in Philly has a beer that I've talked about called Brawler, Kensington Brawler. It's a mild and it's been around for a while. You'll see it on draft lines. You'll see it in shops. I don't think it's like killing it, but like it's a locally known, recognized beer. It's a mild. Nobody else was making a mild or anything like that. And they just kind of held that space. I think to a much larger degree, I mean, the king of that would probably be Allagash, right? Mm-hmm. I mean, nobody messes, for the most part, with white beer.
There's no point.
Because they just control that category. Is wit beer massive? I mean, minus Blue Moon. I mean, you do have Blue Moon, so that's kind of a weird thing. But, like, it isn't a crowded space, maybe.
Yeah.
So you'd rather see Saison
specifically to my brewery, rather see the whole category grow, because I feel like
Rising Tide.
That would help.
Okay.
Have you thought about making a white ale?
Like a wit beer?
Yeah. Like you could call it was Allagash White.
Yeah.
It would work out really well.
Or make it a blonde Saison.
Yeah. Was Allagash white blonde Saison.
Yes.
Yeah.
Kevin is just all about the blonde
like an Aryan
stuff.
race.
Have you thought about a
Saison?
blonde? Yeah.
I would say I think I would welcome the opportunity for that category to get similar to Saison. Like I think if you're making something really well, more competition is a good thing, because I think that it will bring. I think a lot of times people might not even know what Beagle Blonde is on the shelf. Like we have a huge following of like people that's their fridge beer, and I think that's where we've been very lucky is like the consumer. Like we're a small brand, but it is a brand that people can find in a lot of places. So beyond that, if blonde becomes a hot style in 2023,
sorry, I just completely spilled beer all over myself.
It's such a good beer too.
Yeah.
But yeah, I think
you want to look it up. I mean, you're looking at my.
No,
Okay, never mind.
I just almost out.
I think
It's totally killed the train of thought there.
the hardening thing for me to hear is that people are buying that kind of beer, because we had a beer that we made at Half Acre that everyone loved but no one bought, called Gossamer. It was a golden ale, and it was hoppy, and it was a little bit different than, definitely wasn't true to style, and everyone loved it. It was like a huge staff favorite beer, but it
So
just
unique too.
That was probably like a precursor to like a session pale ale that people would talk about, because it was like 4% right? It was a little hoppier than like a traditional blonde ale would be.
Yep.
But it was killer.
It was good.
Yep. Kind of weird branding to some
a little
extent.
moth on it or something, a little dragonfly.
Like dragonfly, yeah.
That was pretty cool.
It was a great beer, but we had such a hard time with it. The shelf life on it was really bad, and we used more hops than normal. So like, even though the costs were low to produce it, it just like would really die on the shelf like really quickly, because we went really low ABV on it, and I think that didn't help matters out. So missed that beer, but it's really good to hear people care again. especially about one locally.
So
Are there other local ones, people that make it?
I've seen like a few places pop up with like a one-off.
Sure.
But I haven't seen anyone make a go of it as like a flagship year-round.
Sure.
And that was something that we stuck to through. I mean, we've stuck to 3 different beers. That now 4. We have a hazy IPA that's a year-round beer, but like that's kind of we just invested in those 3 and like really drove it home. And so I think from that model, like not rotating, really helped. Committing to that for 10 years now.
Yeah.
I mean,
it helps your distributor
Yeah.
to have something to consistently talk about. They're looking for what style can I fit into this, this draft line. If you guys are one of the only ones that are making that style that comes to mind, like
Yeah.
that's how you do it.
Yeah, when COVID hit, it was like all of a sudden the concept of flagships was not like kind of flagships were on the going out, but then during COVID, we benefited from that.
The recognizability, and
Yeah.
the familiarity, and the comfort in that people had in the blonde ale.
So, where was I going now? Now I've lost my train
I
of
mean, I
thought.
feel like
You asked it,
we've pretty much
driven it home.
done a lot about blonde ale. Should we move on to another
Yeah,
style?
yeah. I was going to.
So the style of blonde ale, strong.
Strong.
well,
to very strong?
well, hopeful. I mean, I don't know. I don't know if I'm gonna say that the
Locally
slide-
strong.
Yeah. Oh, you know what I was going to ask?
Regionally strong.
Sure.
To some,
Let me. So that'll be interesting because I think we should do this in subsequent years and see what has changed.
Yeah.
Here's another question I have. Outside of, I think, Rev, might be an exception. What other breweries are making a go at year-round beers that aren't hoppy pale ales of some kind, or a lager, Like, not many anymore. It seems like, so not locally.
I can't think of one locally that comes to mind.
Right?
To be honest. That's not a lager or a pale ale.
I know I
Yeah.
see Midwest Coast isn't there?
Oh, they have a
Brown
brown
ale.
Brown ale.
They have a brown.
Which I'm a big fan. We year round for us is also Can't Find a Bitter Man draft year round
In the ESB.
in ESB.
There you go. Good. I mean, I like that you guys are doing that sort of. I think Spiteful might have some year-round stuff.
They've
that's
got a
little
blonde.
bit
Actually,
more-
they have a fruited blonde ale. I believe
Yeah.
Bleacher Bomb, is that a blonde?
Is that year round?
Is it year round?
I don't think it's
Or they
year-round.
have. They might.
It's
It
like
might be part of a series.
seasonal.
Yeah, series that
brand
changes.
extensions. They're huge.
Brand
I hear they're going to be huge this year.
Yeah.
Little birdie.
they're
Could
coming
I
out.
Could I throw blonde under classic styles and just say that that's strong?
Sure. I mean it. Sure. Okay. Classic style. You can say it. I mean, I don't know how.
And then in 2 years we'll look back. We'll look back, and you guys will be like, how are those classic styles doing? It's like, oh, Kevin actually
Kevin nailed
drives
it.
a garbage truck now, making
Hey,
6 figures.
Honestly,
Exactly.
yeah, makes more money than a brewery operator probably.
Okay. So how about let's go larger category than blonde ale now. Might be hard. But how about let's go sours. Like
Just all sours.
let's do all sours, all of them. And then we can start chopping it up, dicing it up a little bit.
Yeah.
I mean, what do you think the state of sours is right now? Where are we at with
Do
sour
you want the
beer?
expert to answer, or do you want Mike to answer?
That's a good
I
question.
want the expert to answer.
Okay, great. Sour beer, everyone goes crazy for it. No one can get enough.
It's that expert
The longer it's been in a barrel,
analysis that we were all waiting for.
the longer it's been fermenting in a barrel, the better. The more they want it.
Oh, I mean, honestly, when I think about sours now, that's not. Even though I work at a brewery that makes those beers, that's not what comes to mind first.
Explain.
I mean, kettle sours have as far as like share of mind, has
fruited-
overtaken.
Fruited ones, though,
Yeah.
right? Is that fair to say? Like
Yeah.
what you're
Oh
thinking of?
yeah. No,
Yeah.
Does anyone make like a unfruited kettle sour anymore?
In this country? Oh, kettle sour.
Kettle sour.
Probably a distill.
They probably have one,
Yep.
and it's just because like sometimes they're just like, let's just like pull some off before we put fruit in it.
Probably.
Right? Like no one's making a full batch of oh, we got blondes, nice. Well, like my new favorite style. But yeah,
Descendant
I think
adjacent.
Ascendant adjacent. Yeah, no, kettle sour has far surpassed traditional like barrel age.
Oh my
sour
gosh, yes.
and it happened a long time ago.
Yes.
So this is like one of the weirder, most bifurcated styles that we're probably going to talk about at all, because one takes 3 years and a lot of patience and like blending, and one is a relatively quick turnaround.
And is way cheaper.
Way cheaper,
Well,
and probably more pleasing to most people's palates.
I
Not
mean-
probably, definitely more pleasing to most people's palates.
I wouldn't say that like a fruited sour is cheap to make. They're
Cheaper.
It's cheaper than a 3-year blend of
Barrel
Malbec.
fermented.
yeah.
Yeah.
I mean, I get the time and all that, and that makes sense for sure. But fruit ain't cheap, bro.
No, fruit definitely ain't cheap.
But they put fruit in those other ones too.
Sure.
I mean, yeah, it's true. Yeah, that's very true.
We run into a problem with ours because they're 4%, and we have to charge the same price as a double IPA.
You know what you should do? Just say they're 8%. It worked for some other breweries.
Which ones, Chris?
Midwest, Midwestern ones. Oh
Yeah.
yeah, one of my favorites anyway.
It's fancy.
I mean, not Treehouse, if that's what you're insinuating.
Some of the
I would never. I'm
No.
actually a big Treehouse guy now. I'm
No.
watching a lot of YouTube.
I think Eric, one of his favorites. He named his draft team after them.
who?
Team 420 North is named
Oh, yeah.
after them.
That's their offshoot cannabis
homies.
brand. The homies at 420 North.
Okay, so kettle sours, people can't get enough of them. So you think like they're currently strong right now? No, right now, Eric, and
I'm
only getting
being-
stronger, or
I don't think getting stronger. If I'm being totally honest.
Yeah,
I
be
wish I
honest,
had.
yeah.
I wish I had like a really good spicy hot take, but I don't.
okay,
Definitely, I think that now that there's more of them that are more shelf stable, and there are more of them in like pretty much every market, and it's also not that unique of a thing to make anymore. I think that people's interest levels have definitely tapered off.
the novelty is kind of
Yeah,
worn
I
off.
think we're just or 20% on the other side of it being it's like kind of peak. Anecdotally, like I have friends that aren't beer people that are like
So it's going to
beer-
continue to decline. You think?
I mean, it might level out. I don't know, but there was a moment where like people that weren't really beer people, who probably didn't really like the taste of hops, but were drinking it because craft beer was a cool thing. There was a moment where like those people would talk to me about how much they liked sours, and it's like, oh, okay, interesting.
But nobody, and correct me if you guys disagree, nobody goes home and like their fridge beer is a sour and they just crush sours all day, every day. Like I go home
we don't,
on the
but-
weekends, I crush sours and I'll have like maybe one or two, every other weekday or something like that.
I think maybe like 2-ish years ago there were people like that, but I don't think that's that typical anymore.
I don't know
people
many
are
people
most
who
like-
drink
I
that
think-
much sour.
I think anyone who's like crushing sours is probably the most likely person who is like, well, you know what I really like is not beer.
Yeah, right?
Margarita.
Yeah.
Yeah.
Like, when are they going to bring back limeritas? they probably never left. I just haven't had one in a while. But
I also think it depends on the level of sour as well. So
Yeah.
what like I know that we get knocked a little bit using our tap room for reference. What I know is we have these 4% sour, but they're not like make your stomach sick sour. They're like refreshing sour, and they do really well. And what we see is, but they don't do well at distribution. It just stays in our tap room. What we see is people coming in, they'll be like, what sours do you have? It's always plural. It's never like, oh, do you have a sour? It's like they're kind of like, oh, you should have multiple, which I always find interesting.
It's an interesting way to put it. Yeah,
I don't know if
we
it's
get
just
that
a
same
I mean-
thing.
Yeah, I don't know if it's a Midwest thing or if it's an actual.
on the-
want to taste the rainbow.
on the other side, the Skittle Bro. On the other side of that, there's like certainly the longer form barrel aged sour has had bifurcations in it, right? Of people that are trying to make the most sour thing, and
Those days are over, though, right?
no,
No,
absolutely not.
I
It's
think they're
it's
kind
such
of
a
over.
challenge. I think that if you're looking at someone who has conquered so many different hills of making beer and maybe making esoteric beers, it's like that's the final frontier. It's like if you can crush that, you can plant your flag. Like I did it. I did that.
Right.
and that was a
Wait,
hardest
did
thing.
what? Did what?
I made a really good barrel-aged
Mixed
sour.
culture
Oh, okay.
sour
Mixed
beer.
culture beer.
But the idea of the most sour ones being the best ones is as alive as ever
think?
as far as like beer culture. Yeah.
No, I disagree.
Dude, what is the highest rated sour brewery in America?
Side project, probably.
And what is the most sour brewery in America?
Probably Rare Barrel, but
No,
well,
they
don't exist
no.
anymore.
When's the last time you had a Rare Barrel?
I mean, they were rippers last time I had them.
So like 6 years ago.
Probably. I
Yeah,
don't know.
there's that's not as sour anymore. But Side Project is as sour as it's ever been, if
yeah.
not more. And that's by far the highest rated American sour beers. So I think among people like us, we're all like
Isn't that
appreciate it, but it hurts my tum tum.
isn't that beer that everyone's freaking out about from Hill Farmstead a barrel-aged sour?
You
And
know?
is that,
Yeah, those aren't nearly as sour though.
Oh, okay. Sorry.
The pH of that is actually 3.6. I had one and tested it just to make sure that I was on the right track. But yeah, but like the most popular sour beers on the other end of the spectrum in America are the most sour ones.
I'm still going to disagree.
How? Like
That the
on what
highest
grounds?
rated on Untapped is very sour. I don't know. I haven't had this enough side project stuff lately to be able to refute that it's not incredibly sour, because last time I had it, it was quite sour. But that was a long time ago. But nobody in our shop is like wanting like rippers. Like, I want this stuff. Like, what's the most sour stuff you have on tap? Like, what's the most sour thing? Like, nobody asks that sort of stuff anymore. And there used to be people who would say, like, I want it really sour. Like, how sour do you want it? Like, as sour as you get. Like, people used to kind of ask that sort of stuff.
I think this is one of the rare times where Untapped is actually a good representation of what people want from that style, because there isn't a lot of that beer being made. And so most of the people that are seeking out and drinking that beer are highly engaged with it, and they probably rate it.
I don't know. I think there's a lot of lambic. I mean, we have so much good lambic right now. I think that's kind of drowning out a lot of the U.S. stuff, because there's so much amazing Belgian lambic available right now. I mean, our shelf, we probably have like 15
Chicago
different
specifically, there's never been more good lambic
it's
options.
insane. So, I don't know. That could be kind of drowning it out.
That's a very good point.
I will say, I think the state of like those slow fermented barrel sours is not good. I don't think it's in a good spot. I think it's very low, and I think it could easily get lower, personally.
What do you mean? It's low and it could get like
I think it's still on the way down.
The
barrel sours.
Yeah.
I think it's tough sledding. Like you're talking about like Side Project, that they have such a huge audience to sell their very good beers, but then there's a lot of people that got into sour barrel aging that they put it into barrels and it didn't turn out.
Right.
And so I think there's so much of that going on right now where you're seeing people like rethinking the velocity too. Like, not only is the risk of it not turning out, but then you look at the velocity of how you put all this money and effort into making this product, and then there's like a small subset of the population that wants to buy it.
Right.
And and I think I kind of agree with Chris about that getting. That portion of it is getting smaller, just like barrel-aged stouts, not to talk about a different style, but I think all these things that we put extra effort into seem to be slowing down.
Right. We have failed as an industry of making people understand the value of time in beer, or those types of the value of something like that, like a 3-year blend of things, or
we can go into that. I think it's our own. I think it's our own fault. I think it's every tier's fault. I think it's maybe not wholesalers, but I think it's the retailers, the suppliers, and the consumers are all at fault for that happening. I think we all played a role in that, because we wanted to. I mean, with sours, it's tough. I mean, kettle sours, if they're really good, are nice, and they're so much cheaper. They were so much easier to make, so much easier to find. I mean, barrel fermented sours for a while were hard to find. Then all of a sudden they were everywhere, and there were a lot of them that weren't that good.
Most of them are very bad, actually.
Yeah. Many of them are very good now.
Yes, agreed.
So, and then for stouts, I think, again, like, what do we do with these, like, really cool barrel-aged stouts? We just started throwing as much crap into it and, like, and just, like, getting rid of all the barrel character that you possibly could. And I think it kind of, like, ruined it, because then people are like, well, why does it even need to be barrel-aged?
Right.
You know, like, I'm here for the extracts, bro. Just put some barrel extract in it. I'll like it more.
I think there's a lot of stuff that is very good that probably doesn't see very wide distribution either, right? Like,
Yeah.
because of the inability to really communicate and instill the fact this is a valuable product that you should be paying more for. If you're making it in a small quantity, you need to capture more of that, the cost of that as the producer of it. So if you're only making, 12 barrels of your really great barrel-aged stout, you're probably going to keep most of that at your tap room or something like that.
Which
Or
is
you're gonna try to
but
supplement
it's
it.
kind of always
So-
been some degree like that, hasn't it?
Sure. But like, I don't know, when we think about like what's the status, that might be an indicator of the status of it not being like that healthy, right? Where like
Well,
the only way you can sell it and make it make financial sense for you is to sell it directly to people. It might not be the most healthy thing.
True. I mean, maybe you do different beers for different reasons. Like you have a barrel aging program, not to keep the lights on, but to maybe be not a flagship, but flagship is such a weird term in beer, but like
Cornerstone, a tent pole.
yeah, something like that.
like that.
In a non-beer, it would be considered your flagship. Like, this is my
Sure, like your flagship store loses a lot of people money.
right.
Four-wall
Like
profitability.
more like that type of flagship.
Yeah.
So
Are we morphing now into barrel-aged beers as a whole rather than just sour?
no, we're going to sour.
Okay,
We've
still
did
sours.
stout, I think, before. So
Okay.
we'll, yeah.
Sort of with the idea with you were saying about leveling out for sours, all sours in general. I kind of see that hazy IPA is a much bigger category, but I feel like we were late. So similar to kettle sours and hazy IPAs, we're very late to the game. But where I think some people are seeing, like they're saying it's plateaued or like hazy's always going to be around. I think sour's always going to be around. We're seeing like in our tap room. Blonde was always the workhorse for us, and we came within 3 brewers' barrels of selling more of our flagship hazy in the tap room than we did of our blonde ale, and it's $2 more expensive a pint for the hazy IPA. So same thing with the sours. Like we're finding growth within the category, which obviously means somebody else is losing.
Well, not
if the category is not growing.
Right. If the category is not growing. Yeah.
So I do think there's a little bit of that going on where it's sort of people are just figuring out. I'm looking at the Waybird poster over here too. Like Half Acre's coming out with their first official, I believe, right, hazy IPA. Year round.
Maybe. Yeah.
Year round. Mm-hmm. So it's just like people. So going back to sours too, like I think there's room for people like us. Like if we could figure out how to make an affordable kettle sour that was we could distribute, we would. But right now, it's just like the only way for us to pay for it is to sell it in-house. But there's like incredible demand. We always have 1 or 2 on tap because the consumers want it.
Right.
In the same vein that they want blonde and they want hazy IPA.
And you guys are, through distribution, you sell blonde ale for like what, $10.99, $9.99 a 6-pack.
$9.99, yeah.
So like to put a, $22.99 4-pack of kettle sour does not really fit your brand on the shelves normally, right? So like,
even at $15 a 4-pack is what we have to sell the kettle sours. That's still very slow for a 4%. If we put 8 on the label, it might be a different story.
just throw it on there.
Maybe next year.
Yeah.
Well, okay. So sours, mixed bag.
Not doing well.
Not doing well overall, especially the barrel fermented ones. And it doesn't look like it's getting better anytime in the near future overall. Obviously there's going to be individual beers and individual breweries who are going to buck the trend. I'm sure somewhere in the country there will be a barrel fermented sour that will see growth this year, but it will be not a trend.
It's also just such small numbers that we made 100 gallons instead of 50 last year. Like those are like the numbers we're talking about for a lot of breweries.
It does feel like people
barrel-aged sour
are becoming
programs.
more intentional with that stuff, like especially with what Mike does at Was and some of the other sour producers that I know. I have a friend over in Ireland who he's a head brewer at one of Ireland's largest craft breweries, but he has a side project that he makes his own sours, and it's, he doesn't do a lot. He does enough.
Right.
And the beers are perfect, like, because he's not trying to push out, thousands of liters of hopefully good sour beer.
I think that's really a good place for those beers to kind of live.
They're like art projects.
Yeah.
They're not business models.
Right. So, other style, other categories. I'm going to go with one that's probably a lot of people probably haven't thought about a lot lately. Belgian beer.
Just overall.
Belgians, yeah.
Trappist. Saisons.
Anything with that, like everything from a wit beer to a quad to a saison to anything that you would put into that Belgian category. Not necessarily Belgian made, so I'm not talking like Stella, but where do you think that category is at? Who wants to go first? Should I go first? Why don't you go? Eric, what do you think?
Can I? Sorry. So dumb. So tired.
You're doing great.
Yeah, I can tell. I mean, I definitely am more interested in them.
Oh, really?
Personally, I've been spending as much time as possible drinking Belgian beers lately. And I really dig them. I think that kind of similar to the golden ale conversation, it's like, what I wonder is if there's just getting this balance for what people are wanting to drink and what people are wanting to spend on beer. If it's people are like thinking a lot harder about where their dollar goes, and every decision that's being made is like so much more intentional. And if you're going to try something that's different, you're going to want to know that it's going to be kind of reliable. And I think with Belgian beers, for the most part, I'm like, all right, if someone's like putting in the effort to make this beer on the shelf and have it be a more consistently available beer, I'm probably going to dig it. I mean, the first thing that happened when COVID hit was I went out and bought 12-pack of Allagash White, and then like 3 days later I bought my second one to refill the fridge, and I don't think that that's ever really gone away. That's the first beer I gravitate towards anytime I'm out at a bar or restaurant. But that's just me personally. I think that a beer like an Allagash White is not going to ever go away. But I do think that they might, like you said earlier, they might be like on an island unto themselves. So,
yeah, that's kind of how I feel about specifically Allagash White.
Yep.
Like singular, if you could carve out Allagash White, I think it affects the entire category because it's, it's such a, staple, and so good and just so, in a way, unique because it's just so good at playing so many different roles, and it happens to be a Belgian style as well.
right.
Yeah, because I was also going to talk about wheat beers, and we could talk about wits there too.
Sure.
So that's kind of in this weird little middle ground. But yeah, I think that Belgians are going to see a resurgence, but I think it might take a little while. I don't know if it's actually going to get worse before it gets better, because I think it's pretty bad right now. But I
I heard
think
saisons are on fire right now. So.
I think it's going to be a
told you
slow
that?
roll, and then it's going to take
Definitely
off.
wasn't
But it
me.
could take several years, I think, for it. That's just a guess. I don't know. But I think that's going to be like one of the next things to kind of pop off. But I think a few things have to happen before people get around to it, because I think it has to be rediscovered, and it has to be
Right.
undiscovered for long enough for it to have this valuable rediscovery.
I think we're in the undiscovery period right now, for sure.
Yeah.
It does feel like though, like what once was popular, like one, what was old is now new again. Like seeing some of these hazy producers, not to jump out of the style, but like to see a hazy, somebody that started out at making hazies is now making West Coast IPAs. It's like, and so it's just this cyclical thing where,
Yes,
to
I
me,
agree.
I haven't personally had many Belgian beers lately. I do enjoy them across like my beer drinking experience. I've enjoyed quite a few. I've been to Belgium as well and been able to experience the beer culture there, and it is fantastic. But where was I going with that? I was at Trader Joe's. Good segue. I was at Trader Joe's, and there was a stack of Le Fin du Monde in cans.
Wow.
Right.
Yeah.
So I was like, wow.
That's kind of where I was, I think to your point with the cyclical nature of all of this, like that was my first craft beer period.
One of mine.
And I was like, whoa, ABV. Whoa,
Cool.
flavors. Whoa,
Yeah.
carbonation. Like I had never had anything like it. Like the
Foreign.
bottle was really cool.
The one
the
that's-
name behind it.
Yeah.
Like
The cans are amazing, but those bottles with the foil on top,
Yeah,
I mean,
those
great.
are cool.
those were neat.
Well, there's a lot of so our distributor deals a lot in Belgian imports, and there has been a huge shift to canned Belgian
Yes,
beers.
yes.
Which I think could be the catalyst to this resurgence. Is that glass kind of died. I remember we were a little slow to get into cans, and I was doing a tasting at a local retailer, not here. Sorry.
If it isn't there, is it worth having still?
It is. Yeah, that's the one.
Oh.
Yeah. Benny's in Lakeview, the Ivanhoe Castle. I was doing a tasting, and I just remember this moment where, like, I'm tasting out bottles, 6-pack, 12-ounce bottles, and I'm looking in everyone's baskets, and it's all cans. And I'm like,
Yeah.
oh, okay.
Yeah.
Yeah.
I've noticed that for a while because we keep, the empty boxes and we use them for stuff. If people need, buy a bunch, we'll put it in a box for them. And it's
all trays.
It's all trays now. We don't have any
Yeah.
boxes. So that's been happening for years, but it's pretty complete at
Yeah.
this point.
Because it's now hit, like, even Herder, which
Oh yeah, Herder. Their
Herder went to
cans are
cans.
super cool looking. I mean, now you've got, Rothaus, which the distributor has still managed to.
Roadhouse is going to cans, is that what you're saying?
No, they're in
You're
bottles.
thinking of the...
Side note: I mean, how a distributor could screw up that brand, but they've managed to do it. So, well, good on you. You know who you are.
They're avid listeners of the show.
Yeah, I'm sure, and avid carers.
Yeah. I think they're selling so much of that stuff in New York, they don't care about us.
About it being fresh anymore.
Yeah.
Holding up and just being.
They don't care.
Yeah, cool. That seems like what a distributor should care about.
Money, Chris.
Yeah.
They care about the money.
So anyway, glass cans. I don't know. I mean, I think Belgians are one of the ones that also were kind of the holdouts, and I found, like, I don't know. I would buy. I think I'd rather buy some Belgians in glass personally, but I may be not typical.
I guess it also depends on the style too, right? Like,
Right.
I mean, if you're gonna get a Westie 12 in a can, that'd be really weird.
Right.
It'd be real
But the
weird.
St. Bernardus Wit in the cans, yeah,
Perfect.
like fine, go for it. I'll take the cans.
Yeah,
and we
take
actually
that.
had the gentleman, I forget his name. It was a
don't
very
remember
like
either.
Italian sounding name. It was not Belgian at all.
Yeah.
But
Great guy.
yeah, very nice guy. And he was talking about how, like, throughout the last several years, like year over year, St. Bernardus is up, like, nationwide in the U.S.
Like double,
16%.
yeah.
And then he grew it, and they've grown it like year over year, and so I mean it is possible to grow and
They make
import.
like 3 different wit beers now. They're just
Yeah.
all doing
I think
well,
they're
apparently.
very smart, and they use the network that they have very well,
Yeah.
and they just understand the market. I think they're just good businessmen.
Right.
But I hope that could be a catalyst for other people. I will say, you were saying, Eric, that you've been trying more Belgians lately. I've been taking note now of who is putting out like a Belgian style. Like if someone's doing like nobody's making a Belgian pale, but if someone's doing like a triple or something like that, I'll be like, oh, I'll try it, because in this day and age, you made that because you want to for some reason.
Right.
Not like you felt you had to. And that means somebody cared about the beer, and I want to try it. I don't really like necessarily think through it that way, but I'm like, oh, someone made a triple? It's worth trying. Let's see what they got. Where if it's someone that's like, oh, someone made an IPA, I'll wait and see if someone tells me it's really good and I should try it.
Right.
You know,
Right.
Will it be as good as Headhunter?
Right. Well, I
No.
know the answer to that. No.
Hard no.
I think for me, what really
That's
got
what I say to the reps when they drop it off.
Is this better
And
than
as I'm saying,
for all
I'm
styles
already,
too?
I'm already opening up before they even answer. It's just it's being drain poured in front of them.
Oh my god, that's the best beer. I love
It's
it
so
much.
good.
Thanks for the can.
Yeah.
Or the cans. Was,
Yeah.
Oh my god, so good. I took a month off of drinking in November, and I missed a good IPA, and I never got it through an NA. No offense to anybody. There's some lagers that are kind of close, but the beer that really brought it home for me was Weisstrafaner, and that was like, that's not like a Belgian or whatever.
It's
more
German,
like,
but
German.
it's
Sure.
a hef.
Yeah.
Is it the
Yeah.
hef though?
yeah.
So it's got
And-
that estery kind of.
Right.
Yeah.
And that like just really hit the mark for me, and I like just kept going and drinking more and more of that, and then just stayed in that arena, and then like kind of started going from there over into the Belgian area, and I really haven't gotten
More
back.
like ester driven beer
Yeah.
rather than
And
hop.
I've been a hoppy guy for 12, 13 years now.
Yeah.
Like it's been the style I like. I still love it, but it's kind of nice to actually sit down and enjoy a beer sometimes.
I do think like the big thing holding Belgian beer back is esters and phenolics. Like people,
so?
they just are confusing and not something that the average beer drinker encounters that
Is
much.
accustomed to. Yeah.
Yeah, the people that are 50% or more tuned in have learned about a lot of hops and what hops taste like, but yeast byproducts, they're just like, I don't know what that is. I don't want that. And kind of like at this point, I don't have the space in my brain to like learn new stuff about it.
Yeah. But I do think that like Belgian beer is a category you can just say like these are yeast driven beers. You don't even have to like even say it that way. Like this is what Belgian beers taste like. They taste different. This is kind of that profile. And then it can be like, what sours do you have? What Belgians do you have? I think that's an okay space to be in for people to think of it that way. And then it's like I'm thinking of this kind of profile.
It's never going to be more than
what
a niche.
milkshakes do you have? What?
It's never gonna be more than a niche in that way, though.
I don't know, man. I don't know. I think we're at a pretty bad point for a bunch of reasons for Belgians. I think, and we can say this for a bunch of different styles. Like I think we can move into wheat beers next, or we can go to English beers too. Why don't we move into English beers? Because I think it kind of is similar. I think some of the issues that those beers were having, both of them, is the proliferation of local breweries here in the United States, just like thousands and thousands and thousands coming on each year, crowding up the shelf space, and not really focusing on those import styles.
Like
so those import styles kind of go away, and then in the meantime, like imports are like we're cutting our imports. So we're not going to be bringing in as many, so that makes them even less available. And then COVID comes, and you have all these supply chain issues, and that just crushed the import market.
Right.
I mean, it's just been brutal for some of those.
And when you have the first generation of American craft breweries, they're all inspired by some sort of continental brewery, right? And so they're making English beers, or they're making Belgian beers, they're making German beers, and then maybe they do some innovation, and then they make something that's like Sierra Nevada Pale Ale, which is kind of like an English beer, but really it's more this new thing. And then the second generation of American breweries is a little bit more inspired by like that new thing you were doing. And then just that as that goes down and you get to 10,000 breweries, that 10,000th brewery is inspired by the 7,000th brewery that's now only making the thing that's inspired by the 3,000th brewery. So it's all the innovation thing, like the new pale ale.
What's your template? What are you working on?
And so and as you only have so many tanks, you only have so much space in your portfolio. Like, the Belgian blonde ale, it doesn't really sell that well, but is the brewer's favorite, falls away, or the English mild kind of falls out of favor. And so when you get 10,000 breweries into a beer culture, their inspiration is the brewery that makes IPAs, which there's nothing wrong with, but it's the diversity of style made by any specific brewery seems to be less than it was even in 10 years ago.
Oh, 100%. I mean, I've been arguing that on this show for 5 years probably now.
I've come around all the time.
So now, but with English beers, which I think is similar to Belgian beer, and one of the reasons I feel the way I do about Belgian beer is because I think I've seen English beer try to come out the other side of it, because that was way more dead than Belgian beer was. I mean, that those styles were just absolutely gone. Could not get them in this country. Could not get those styles. And I'm including Scottish, UK styles, stuff like that.
Scottish beer's gone.
Now they're starting to come back a little bit, but I mean, Bellhaven and those did not come in. It's like, what are you talking about? It's just no, we don't have it.
That's crazy. There was a bar in Lincoln Park I used to go to a lot when I was in college called Duke of Perth.
Yeah,
that only had Bellhaven on tap.
Right.
And so, what happens when
maybe
Bellhaven
they brought
doesn't
some
come?
in on draft for them.
Sure.
But in package, it was gone for a while. It's back, but it was gone.
Yeah, they only had.
We actually might have sold them blonde during COVID.
Oh, wow.
Okay, yeah. I mean, it might have just been
if I remember
out there.
correctly.
But now,
I'll have to check my notes.
I'm noticing, I mean, for all the joking about mild, I do really think that bitter is a style that could be really strong. I don't think it should be called bitter. Yeah, exactly. Or something. That profile, whether it's called pub ale, and I'm not sure it should be called that either, but something. I don't even know if it needs a specific style name. I think has a place on people's palates. I think people like a lot of these different beers, which is why they became these, very popular styles over time. And for all the joking about mild and stuff like that, it is funny that mild seems to be the one that has a little bit of traction right now.
Sure.
I
Way
think
to go, man.
Influencer
Way to
Instagram
go.
accounts.
Yeah, I do. No, that's not me. That's just mild, you have to think.
Well, I was. Oh, you thought we were saying that was you?
Oh, was he outside? Were
No,
they
we're just saying
outside?
that
You haven't-
that
Oh.
account has
You
been
haven't done
huge.
enough mild writing on this show.
Right. It's true.
I mean, I feel like you definitely are part of you're one of the flag bearers for sure.
Yeah, I'll plant my flag. But what I will say is so the beer you brought in a session barley wine.
Yep.
What other you have a lager? You have a pale. We had I was talking about Kaiser Tiger last week when I was there. They had 2 milds and an ESB on. We have now we're different, but we have
Built different, yeah.
we have a porter on right now. We have a nut brown on right now. We have a mild, coming up. We have a bunch of these malt-driven lower English styles, and people
'Tis the
seem to be
season, baby.
wanting them. Yeah,
I think
I think that's some of it.
Yeah, I think the flavor is there. Then it's not heavy. A lot of those beers are not heavy at all. We refer to our ESB as ESB in the tap room. People seem to resonate with ESB. I'd have to look back and see, but we've been making that beer. Can't find a bitter man. But we've been making that beer for at least 5 years, and it did well before COVID on draft. COVID kind of killed it because it was only available on draft. But in our tap room, it's one of our, regulars' favorites. But yeah, same thing. At one point we had a coffee brown ale, the ESB, and the session barley wine, which this is an English mild that we bought. We boiled it for 3 hours to really
Nice.
for maximum efficiency and
to really get that
streamlined,
sessionable barley wine flavor.
Yeah.
But yeah, 3 malt, like, low.
You could have just
So you use like what,
poked
like
it with this hot stick and gotten the same effect.
so
True.
you use
Just
like what
saying.
110
stick, it's a
pounds
beer
of
shop.
malt in this 15-barrel batch
I'm
of
not
beer.
cultured.
Yeah,
Boiled it for 3 hours.
3 hours.
Beer
It was all part of the joke, I guess. But it made a really.
Got to commit to the bit.
But it's a good beer. It's like 3.3%. It has
great.
tons of
Yeah,
malt
it's good.
flavor, but it's not, heavy. And I think that resonates with people. Everyone was going crazy about NAs, but I think there's a place for a 4% flavorful beer in every tap room.
We also have a black pills on right now, which I would say is a malt driven. I mean, it's obviously not an English style, but I don't know. It is. I think malt is people aren't.
It's back, baby.
I don't know if it's back, but it isn't like people avoid it at all costs. Like, ugh, I hate malty stuff. They like super roasty stuff, or they like super pale stuff. Is where we were at for a while. Like
think that
malt
was-
was a bad word.
That was like brewer driven, I feel like.
Maybe. I remember
Just like,
talking
if you
to a
don't
brewer
make those styles
in
and
San
you-
Diego, and he was like, "Malt is the enemy." That's what he said.
Yeah.
One of our we get flack for we have a very mid 2000s Michigan-esque IPA called Euchard, which is we call it a Midwest IPA because it's a little bit extra malty, and it's just funny because it's like people just had an aversion to it. Like I don't know what it was about it, but like the people who like that beer love that beer.
Well, there's like a thumbing of the nose at the previous generation's idea of what was the good beer, right? Where you're like, oh, this like Crystal 60 or 40 or 80 in this IPA, like that's garbage. And like there's reasons for it, right? It oxidizes really poorly. It makes it taste old very quickly. But there's a reason that was a very popular thing to do. Like some of those beers are fantastic.
I had a Surly Furious over the weekend on draft. It's great.
Yeah.
It's awesome.
Little malt goes a long way.
Yeah, it does.
And malt's delicious.
Fatheads. Headhunter, baby. That's what I'm talking about. A little malt.
Low malt.
You need a little malt.
Just a little bit.
Just a tiny.
Give a little bit.
Just a little. Yeah. Yeah. Give me a little bit.
Give me a little bit.
Give me a little sugar.
Give me a little.
Give me a little sugar.
Little
Give me
touch.
Let me a little maltose.
Give me a little bit.
We also have a nitrogenated version of our English extra special bitter, and
There
it's
you go.
that elevates it to a whole nother level of smoothness.
Boom.
Yeah.
So where do we think? Do we think that this is what is the current
Belgian beer?
state of English beer? Yeah.
Ascending, I think.
Popping
you?
off.
I think.
For real, are you
it's
like I
popping
can't
off.
tell if you're joking or being facetious or
half.
not.
I'm not. I mean, to Kevin's point earlier, like there is like actual local breweries that have English pale ales as part of their core lineup.
Yeah.
Speaking of Midwest Coast, like that's part of their core next to their
Temperance
their
is
brown ale.
one
Oh yeah,
category
absolutely.
to English IPA. Yeah.
I genuinely think it's ascending.
I don't know if I'm also just making this up in my head, but I feel like I saw on Instagram today somebody was posting that they're brewing an English pale ale, not Midwest Coast, but somebody else, and I was like, oh, that's an interesting style for them to brew.
Yep. And I think there's a lot of fertile ground too, right? Of like things that's not just like your dad's English IPA, but like more interesting flavor profiles. Like I remember like one of our favorite retelling stories on this is you and I standing by a keg of Coniston Bluebird Bitter at this like at the Shelton Brothers Festival that has every hyped beer you could ever want to have.
Yeah.
And we're just crushing this super fresh keg of Bluebird Bitter. And
Yeah, because we're like, hey, come over here.
no one makes a
Look
beer
what's
like
here.
that in
And
America.
We're just self-serving ourselves.
Right.
Coniston.
Just pints and pints of it.
Yeah.
But no one makes a beer like that.
Right.
Like that profile doesn't really exist. That like lightly estery, like bitter, but like dry, like with a little bit of that little little sugar,
Yeah.
No one's really done that. So there's a lot of space in the English canon that American breweries can play in.
And I think a lot of those styles can be Americanized too, like
Right.
porters and stuff like that.
Yes.
I think they can certainly brown ales. But
It's like training wheels of a barrel aged stout. It's like there's like such a direct line from
Yeah.
the craziest barrel aged stout to that English,
Right.
English bitter, or they're
Session barley wine.
yeah,
maybe.
session barley wine. People,
It is, yeah.
people
For,
get it.
for the past year, Nut Brown has done from AleSmith, which is it may be the best brown ale in America that I'm aware of. I mean, it's certainly up there. It is so good. And I'm saying that as a caveat because it sells so well. So obviously it's a great beer. But I think, the best Grzycki in the world is only going to move so fast here.
Right.
But that beer has been pulling
Crushing.
for a while. Every time it comes on, and now the imports are starting to come back, and we're starting to see we just got a fresh Ridgeway IPA.
Yeah, I saw that on Instagram.
We just put it on today, so
have some
I'm
of that.
going to try it and see. I had a little taste of it, but I want to try
a little sweetness.
Yeah, I want a pint of it.
Just a little taste.
A little more. And that's a good sign. Fresh English beer coming
Right.
in.
And we can't
It's a good
forget
sign.
the actual DNA of American craft beer comes from English.
100%.
So it'll be one of those things of oh, this is vaguely familiar in ways that I can't actually articulate or consciously talk about. Oh, if someone makes that Coniston Bluebird bitter that I'm asking them to make, oh yeah, this is obviously a precursor to
Right.
pale ale, American to
Obviously, I think
or
it's a
Landlord
little
or something
blip.
like that.
I don't know how much I would say it's hard for me to say whether it's popping off.
Of any
but-
of the styles that we've talked about so far, it is the one that seems to be having a moment, as they say,
Yes.
more than anything else. Is
Right.
the English styles.
Right. And I wonder, and I would say even more, so there's the Czech Dark Lager, I think is a specific style that has a specific name associated to it. Right. And that is obviously, I think, doing very, very well. But are dark lagers doing well? I don't know. Are Bocks doing well? Are Doppelbocks? No.
Yeah. Oh, yeah.
They are?
Yeah, for sure.
Oh, okay.
You guys already talked about lagers, I'm assuming.
Yeah, we did. But we didn't.
I'm the number
but
one
didn't-
fan. I missed one episode. I'm so sorry.
I know.
I don't believe him.
I don't like Bocks.
To be
I
fair,
don't know.
I miss every episode.
But
after
what
we
makes you say that?
Well, I'd say proof is in the pudding for me. We working somewhere that in the past few months has made a Czech Dark Lager, a 10% Baltic Porter, and a Doppelbock, and seen it, come and go pretty quickly, not just from our brewery, but also from.
That's true. Baltic
our-
Porter is a
our re-
lager. That's very true.
So-
And then we just got a sample of a brown ale, right? You guys just made a brown ale as well, right?
Yeah,
Phase
yeah,
3.
Yeah, Perception of Depth.
Yeah, that's right.
And we did a barrel aged version too that was super dope, and it was oh, we gotta submit this at Phobab because we don't want a line for something, and it did kick. I mean, it's probably more to do with just what the brewery's known for, but still cool to see, and we have seen a lot of success with those maltier lagers. Because in the colder months, you do want that. You do want something that's got a little bit more heft to it, and
We've got
flavor. And
We've got a Doppelbock coming in a couple weeks. We released it last year for the first time, and actually to that same point, we were blown away at how well it sold. We aged it in our foeder, gave it a little extra kick, and we released it a little late too. We were towards the end. I think we were middle to end of March last year, and just kind of surprised to that. Taking a chance on a style like that,
Yeah.
we
Didn't-
weren't sitting on it for very long.
I think
at all.
Side note, did you guys put out it was either a summer beer or a Christmas beer, either after summer was over or after Christmas was over, years ago?
Oh, many moons ago. We
8
used to
years
do
ago.
we would do it was called Maybe Next Summer.
Yes,
And it was a
that
summer
was it.
ale. We released it in August. And
Yeah.
every year we moved it up a little bit more. And then we changed the name, and then we got rid of it.
Okay.
So, yeah.
I think all that energy
funny.
we thought was going to go into what about just a sessionable stout? I think all that went into dark lagers.
Yeah.
People were no, I
Well, for
want
English
I want my
beer-
stouts to be imperial and full of bullshit.
I
I'd rather I
disagree.
want my dark sessionable beers to be lagers. I think is what's happening.
I think there's an
Oh, sorry,
opportunity
Serge.
for a lower ABV stout. When I mean that, I mean like 7 or under. 6.
I mean,
6.5, 7.
but we've talked about this. Guinness crushes.
It's its
Like,
own
Guinness
thing. It's
crushes
its own
ultimate
thing,
light
man.
so hard.
It is.
It's the ultimate
Like if
light
I
beer.
want a beer that's under 7% and dark and not some sort of lager, I'm just gonna buy a Guinness.
I don't know if I agree. I think like that.
Well,
the
everyone
shoot-
can't
else
disagree.
does.
I said what I
Everyone
wanna
else
do.
does. So you can just be wrong.
Yeah,
I
it's
mean,
so
you don't have
good.
to admit it, but
I drank
I think you're missing
4
the
of them
point.
last week.
I mean, everyone knows.
I know
mean,
it- I know
like
it.
Guinness. I like Guinness quite a
I
bit.
think you hate the Irish.
I do.
Yeah.
I was to say.
It's a local brewery now, Mike. Just
Yeah,
Yeah,
That's true.
Chicago
I think
brewery.
that's the English part of them really coming out.
yeah, the English
hatred
part
for
of
the-
Chris
yeah.
Chris Quinn.
Yeah, I think. Yeah, I think. I think like if I'm drinking a Deschutes Obsidian, I'm not thinking like, you know what, would
You're the
be even
only
better.
person drinking Deschutes Obsidian.
Well, my point is they don't exist anymore. But like, I'm trying to like, what else? What I'm saying is, I think there's an opportunity, is what I'm saying.
Sure,
because
I
I think those beers are different enough. They're quite different.
Just thinking so much of that space is taken up by Guinness.
I guess. I think you're right.
I
but
would personally.
I don't know.
I'm speaking only from personal preference. I would, if you had a English mild, a dark lager, and a 6% stout all in front of me, I would drink the stout last every single time. I can't think of any reason why I would want to drink something that was more filling and felt like more heavy in any scenario. Really.
So what were the 3 beers you said?
like an English mild, the dark lager, and a stout. Like
It all depends on
Or a
how
Guinness,
I'm
which
feeling
one
at the
you're drinking
time.
first.
Well, Guinness is different. I'm saying like a 6% Guinness versus or a 6% stout versus a Guinness. Like I would drink the Guinness before the stout for sure.
Yeah.
But you're
And
just going
I
based
do-
on ABV at this point.
I'm not. I'm based off of like I'm saying that personally based off of what is like appealing to me. I think the reason that these English style beers are having this really nice deserved moment is it's not going to be as filling and it's going to be something you can drink and not like put you on your ass.
I don't know, man. Headhunter's like 7%, 7.5%.
It's a hoppy, delicious, best
saying.
I think-
IPA.
That's also where
It's not
with
as
you.
heavy though. It's also
That's where
not
that
as
style of IPA lives, as I think as we've discovered last week. Like that, like 7 to 7.3, 7.5. It has to live there.
Yeah.
It doesn't.
I wouldn't like it any lower. Or higher.
No, and
and it's
typically
unique.
I'm like
that and Two Hearted. I'm like,
I drink nothing over 5% typically, or 6% typically, unless it's like Headhunter or Lunch or
Right.
or something in that world.
Yeah, we have
And it
Lunch
has,
on right
then it
now,
has
too.
to be like
It's
7.3
really good.
or something like that.
It's so good. Lunch is so good.
There is something to be said to Eric's point though. Like when I look at like some of the English beers that I've had lately, like I know it's kind of counterintuitive, but like if you get a really nice crispy 3.3% English mild,
Session barley wine.
English mild,
Okay.
3. I'm not saying it's ours. I'm saying if it was a
Yeah.
3.3 English mild that was boiled for 3 hours and still came out came out crispy at the end, like it's kind of counterintuitive. It's like it's malty, but it also is like dry. It's crisp. Like I can drink 3 of them and
Right.
go about my business.
Yeah.
Ordinary bitter. That's the new thing.
to be
Mild is
ordinary.
over. Okay, mild is over.
All right, I'm gonna
Ordinary
get an
bitter.
Instagram real quick.
Do you have a
and
pen?
Just ordinary
Just
bitters.
ordinary bitters. Yeah, right.
Update the
Cross that
label.
out. Yeah.
Okay. Are we done with styles, or is
I
any
think
of
that
this-
was we covered
Yeah.
a lot of ground.
We
there.
did. We did. Why don't we take a quick break? Then we have. I want to talk Hormel chili beer. That's another style.
Yeah,
we have
the
one more
ascendant-
style to talk
the
about.
ascendants of Hormel chili.
Not just
beer.
chili beer. Hormel, the style, the overall style,
Hormel
not just
sty-
the one that was
not
announced.
Hormel style
all
chili beer.
of them. So I want you guys to take a moment to think. We'll take a break and come back and talk about the state of Hormel chili beers. And we're back with the Beer Temple podcast. I'm here with my co-host Mike Shallow.
welcome back, everybody.
Yeah.
This is Eric. I'm here with my co-guest. Kevin.
It's your boy.
Thanks for having me, Eric. I'm really excited to be back.
Welcome back.
Second time in 2 months.
Yeah, it feels good to be back. Yeah.
So we have Kevin Carey of Beguile Brewing and Eric Kapraun of Phase 3.
It's really nice to
Brewing
have
company.
Mike Shallow and Chris Quinn here with us today.
Thanks for having us.
Great co-hosts, beacons of the industry. Absolutely.
Oh, thanks. That means a
Very
lot.
wise.
Like it's not often we get to talk like this, so thank you for having us on.
Yeah. So what should we talk about next, Eric?
I was thinking now might be a good time for you to read me a letter and put me to sleep.
Okay. Good. Good. Okay. Well, I very much appreciate all the letters that we get. So first,
As
I'm
do
gonna
I.
say,
As you guys get though.
As a super fan, I do as
handwritten,
well.
handwritten letter, or not handwritten, but an actual letter. You know, this is not a electronic
It's
letter.
not handwritten.
Where did it ship from?
This one's from Chicago.
Oh,
Yes, this one is
Local.
from Chicago. Yeah, most of our handwritten most of our actually mailed letters are not from Chicago, but this one is.
60625. That's real local.
Yes, but don't say who it is because we don't.
Oh,
You don't
so
This
do
is,
that
this is
here.
the
No, it's
doxing
okay.
portion
That's
of the.
But anyway, yeah. So if you want to send a letter about
And be
anything you
doxed.
want, yeah, you can send it to the Beer Temple at 3173 North Elston, Elston Avenue. That's in Chicago, 60618. You can send it to Beer Temple. You can send it to Mike. You can send it to Serge. You can
Send it to
me.
Eric.
Send it to
I'll get it.
your boy Eric.
Promise.
Hey, what's up with? I haven't seen my boy Eric online.
Have you been out there recently?
Come on, man.
It's been a
I want to
minute.
know what my boy's up to.
It's been a minute.
Those were my favorite Instagram stories, dude.
They
Yeah.
were definitely my favorite. Instagram
Well, maybe you
stories.
guys should just follow me on over to TikTok where the party keeps on going.
pass.
Okay.
Let's read the letter.
Anyway, yeah. You can also send an electronic letter to
TikTok.com.
at electronicletters.com. No. Insiders at craftbeertemple.com. So we have a letter from, and however you sign your letter is how we will refer to you. So if you don't want your whole name read, sometimes you have some industry people talk, dishing Juicy G. So,
We'll dox you on the Patreon episode,
right,
though.
Kevin will.
Yeah.
Anyway, this comes from Tim
Kevin's doxing corner.
from area code 60625, as has been mentioned. No, it's okay.
It's like Roscoe Village.
So this goes to
That's why Chicago.
to Chris,
Ravenswood. Yeah,
to Chris.
Lincoln Square.
to Chris Strong, Mike, Fade Master Surge, and any esteemed guest in the studio. So that would be you, Kevin.
They must have known. They
So,
had to know.
so thanks for all the great shows, the long-running jokes, historical deep dives, and industry nights.
You're welcome.
Yes, industry insights,
End
not
of letter.
industry nights. Industry insights.
Yeah, all the industry nights you have here.
Something came up on episode 274 at around a
yes.
half hour in. That was
274.
glossed over relatively quickly. And I
episode
think-
274?
Yeah, 274.
All right.
And I think it should be explore. So let me read what this person spent the time to read. Okay, something came up on episode number 274, that was about a half hour in, that was glossed over relatively quickly, and I think it should be explored more thoroughly. Did Chris compete and win on The Price is Right? If that wasn't just an offhanded joke, then I would love to hear a full recounting of that whole adventure. A full episode, or at the very least, a solid segment, would certainly be a welcome momentary diversion from more Bourbon County talk. Keep up the good work, Tim.
Eric, you want to take this one?
No, I have no idea.
Oh, okay.
Is it so?
It is so. It is so. Yeah, I mean, it's mostly so. It's mostly so. So,
So you know Bob Barker,
yes.
Drew Carey.
Yes. I know
Yeah,
both
which
of
era
them.
was it? Bob
No.
Barker?
So the person that hosted the show and I was on was a guy by the name of Mark Wahlberg,
No way.
but different Mark Wahlberg.
From Ted?
No, the guy, from Antiques
From Ted
Roadshow.
2?
From the Antiques Roadshow.
Oh, wow.
The host of that show.
Not St. Charles' finest.
So it was there is a traveling version of the show that is, I guess, licensed or owned by or something. So, it's whatever. They have all the real stuff. It's not pretending to be The Price is Right, but it isn't on television. I thought I was going to be on TV.
Were you disappointed?
Well, I found out I was going to go about an hour before because somebody's wife couldn't go because their father had just had some medical problems, and it was this guy's 40th birthday, and she's like, "You should still go." And I think he asked like several other people, and they couldn't make it. I was like, yeah, I'll go.
And he was.
I'll be on the Price
He was
is
just
Right.
at the bar, and you're like,
So I was like,
I'll
I gotta go. I gotta watch The Price is Right. So I haven't watched it in decades. So I'm like, oh man, it's like there's hardly anybody on it now because there's all this social, distancing. I was like, I got a good shot of getting called up. So, on the way there, I was like, so he's like, oh, I don't think Drew Carey's going to be there. I think he's playing kind of coy. And he's like, so there's this like traveling version of it. I was like, oh, I knew it's a traveling version, but I thought like maybe for this year they're traveling to different.
Like when Conan went on the road.
Right. That's what I was thinking. So no, it was at this theater in Rosemont. It was huge, but they give you the name tag. Like you have to sign in. You have to give them all your stuff. You have to register if you're going to be eligible to get called down. And I go in there. I'm like, oh man, there's thousands of people in this theater. But they do it.
The Rosemont Arena?
Yes. Yeah, the place is big, right?
Yeah, it's very big.
So it's big.
Saw Mark Anthony there.
Oh, okay. There you go.
The man's a performer.
So yes, it was there. So I'm like, oh, well, never mind. I'm not going to get called up. And good thing, because I don't know anything. And the guy next to me was like calling out everything, nailing all the prices. I had no clue.
And luckily you get up there and it's
So anyway.
a can of Headhunter,
So they
a can of Alpha Assassin.
Exactly.
A can of Benjamin Danklin.
Exactly. Goggle
like $11.99, Bob.
Goggle fogger.
Yeah.
Mm-hmm. Yes. Like, what is the wholesale cost of this 6-pack?
Yeah. What's the wholesale cost of a 2009 version of Still Knocked
Ding, ding,
Reserve?
ding. Oh, wait, that's more prices. Family Feud or whatever. So anyway,
$1, Bob.
they do it a little bit different. So every time you get called up to contestants row, if you win, you get up on stage, and then they replace you with one person, right? This is different. To get more of the thousands of people up, they replaced everybody on contestants row every time. So they were getting, I don't know, they probably had 35 people up there or something like that instead of 7 or 8 total. So, like the fourth group, call my name. Like, come on. And they had like things like, this is how we want you to act. They like showed clips of people freaking out.
Cool.
No, they want you to like go nuts. Didn't do any of that stuff.
You didn't get crazy?
Actually wearing this shirt. Yeah. No, I didn't get crazy.
Weird.
Got up there. My
So
friend
animated.
that I took was wearing like a Price is Right blazer. Like people were dressed insane. Get up there. They stage you so you're like the people who are up there next. So to keep it moving, like they're bidding, you get called up, and then you just fill the space when they all leave. So I saw that they were always going. This guy wanted a solid segment, so I'm telling him the whole story. So I saw that they were always going like right to left is how they were asking everyone. So I saw the showrunner, the little guy with the little mic, and looked like the guy from the drive-through. And I was like, hey, I'm going to go into that spot. And he's like, yeah, that's fine. So then I looked to the right of me, and saw a bunch of like women. I was like, all right, I'm gonna
So you
just
saw a bunch of
I'm gonna-
women.
I'm like, all right, I'm like nobody's gonna like
So the show gets canceled.
muscle. No one's gonna like if I like make a charge for it. I don't think it's gonna be a problem that I'm gonna get in the spot that I want.
Cool.
Okay, so and guess what? My assumption was correct.
Yeah.
Okay, so
Great.
yeah. I guess I could have kept that fact to myself, but it's the truth. So I was like, okay, I'm gonna get there. So they went through, and
what were you bidding on?
dude? I'll get to that in a second.
Oh, sorry.
Yeah, no, I'm not
I
saying
thought
dude because you interrupted me. I'm saying dude because it was insane. All the stuff
It wasn't
was
the
insane.
can of Alpha Assassin.
Not quite.
Damn.
So I had no idea what I was bidding. The last person was the highest bidder, and I bid $1 over. And
Oh, you $1 them, you son of a bitch.
yeah, not under, but over.
Yeah.
So, and he made a comment that was a pretty ruthless thing to do, and I was like, yeah, I'm not here to make friends. So, and it was like a giant MP3 player in the shape of one of those old-fashioned
The jukebox?
jukeboxes, the kind that have like the lights with the little bubbles that go around them and stuff like that.
But it was an MP3 player.
It was an MP3 player. It was big though.
So basically, like you were bidding on like excess Sky Mall inventory.
Yes. It was. That's a perfect way to put it. It's a perfect way to put it. So I get called up.
And it was it was expensive.
Yeah, it was expensive. It was like over $1,000. So
it's like $40 worth of technology.
So then I get up there, and it's the little Alpine game. Mm-hmm. He starts interviewing me. I'm not doing very well in the interview.
How so?
I think I was a little bit more conversational than he wanted to be. A little bit more like just kind of answering his questions.
He wanted you to be excited.
Yeah, he wanted me to, and I just, I don't know. I was like, whoa. I was trying to act like I was like, this is crazy. And he was like, okay.
I can't imagine you and your love of like postmodern humor not really engaging in the the grandeur of the traveling.
There is a video of it
show.
somewhere of me going up there because they were videotaping me. But
we'll put that in the show notes, the link to that.
Yeah, I have to find it. So then it's the Alpine game, which is like, oh, that's cool. That was like one of my favorite games as a kid. Mm-hmm. So then all the stuff they're bringing out, like I had no clue what any of this stuff was. It was ridiculous. It was like dog pajamas.
A handful of mild.
Yes, exactly. Just crazy stuff. The first one I put out there, I was like, I don't know, $35. The whole place is like, no. I was like, oh.
How does that feel?
Wait. And I quickly was like, wait, no. And he's like, okay.
$36.
And I look over, and I can't see anything. There's like lights right in my face. I can't see anything. But in the first row or second row, there was a dude who must have like come from like some construction work thing because he had day glow. He had day glow on, like, and I could see him. And he was like, no, lower, like using like the thumbs down. And then he was like, like 15, like putting his hands up. And I was like, 15. And
everyone goes, yes.
So I'm like 15. And then it's like, so the idea is how many dollars off, above, or below. He keeps going and then he stops. And it has like the little yodel. So like, yodel, yodel, yodel. And he goes $1 and stops. So I like nailed it. It was like $16. And then it was like
$16 dog pajamas.
Yeah, something like that. And then everything. So then I didn't make any jokes. I just turned and looked at that dude every time and was like, and did whatever he said. And I won, and I won a trip to Hawaii.
So you went with him?
I took him.
Yeah.
Yeah. I took him. And
you won a trip to Hawaii.
I won a trip to Hawaii.
Did you take the jukebox to Hawaii? Sorry. Did you
take
the...
Well, that's the other thing. You don't win any of that other stuff on this traveling version. It's a little different.
Do you want that jukebox, though?
No, I did not want. I thought I was going to have to win all this crap.
Yeah.
I didn't want any of this stuff. I was like I was literally not going to. I wasn't going to take it. I was going to leave it there. Like I don't want any of this stuff, which I think they realized, and they don't want to have to like keep sourcing this stuff all the time. So they just like give stuff that nobody would want. One was funny. They would have been like good white elephant gifts. Like one was a personal groomer, like electric razor, but it had an articulating arm, kind of like these like microphone arms, so you could like do your back hair.
That sounds dangerous as
yeah, I know. So
that's awesome.
So yeah, I want a trip to
that's the part you're excited
Hawaii. Oh, that's what's yeah.
It just reminds me of I had a similar experience where in Oprah's last season, I was on an episode of Oprah.
No way, you want a car?
So it was very similar. So when we got there, we had to fill out some paperwork. Didn't think anything of it. Went on the episode. It was Tom Hanks and Julia Roberts had just released a movie together, and they were going to do Julia Roberts' favorite things because she was always a fan of Oprah's favorite things. And you would have thought that these people were going to get cars because they lost their car. They just like went nuts.
The studio
audience, yeah.
And they're like, "You're all getting frozen yogurt." Like,
I think it was
the
like
love of your children.
It was like bangles, a tote bag, some makeup. It was basically all of my.
What did you do with all this stuff?
So Mother's Day.
Yeah,
it was.
All right, nice.
It was awesome. Yeah, but then we got Tom Hanks gave us an espresso machine. which was cool. And we were prominently featured on that episode. I was getting text messages from all around the country of relatives that were like, "What are you doing at Oprah?"
Yeah.
Getting these
Because apparently two dudes in the audience
my
at
guy.
Oprah was like a camera.
Yeah. So it's an interesting story. Not as cool as like being on The Price is Right on television, but
Or Oprah.
Have you ever seen the
Oprah?
the
Not
clip
as cool
of
as that.
Aaron Paul when he first moves to L.A. being on The Price is Right.
Oh.
He goes crazy. He wins.
Oh wow.
Yeah, Google it. It's fun. It's a fun watch.
Okay.
It's like you're a legend, Bob. He's nuts. He's like 18.
Right. Well, that's what they want you to be like.
Yeah.
And he's a good actor at
Yeah.
that sort of stuff.
That was his first acting
so I
role.
knew I
He
had
was
done
really sad,
terrible
actually.
because as I was leaving, he was like, "Let's give him a hand." What a great what a great contestant. What a great contestant, right, everyone? He had not said that to anybody else for the rest of the night or prior to that. I was like, okay, he's telling everybody how terrible I was.
That's
He was
how-
kind of like
That's how you
clowning
internalize
me.
someone saying you were great. It's
No,
like,
no,
There's no way that's
it was
gonna be real.
obvious. It was obvious because he was kind of like clowning how I was not really a good guy, good up there, and I was like not answering the questions.
Where
the
you're like,
way
hey,
he
buddy,
wanted
I
me
host
to.
a podcast. I'm very
Yeah.
entertaining.
Right,
Somebody,
This thing will put you to sleep any night. All right?
right.
somebody
I'm
got
entertaining.
somebody got fired for picking you.
Yeah, I'm sure. I'm sure.
That's good.
But anyway, so I want a trip to Hawaii, which I later found out it's a voucher that I can use to anywhere. So I think I'm going to Tuscany later this year instead.
That sounds pretty cool.
Yeah.
Podcast is going on the road, folks.
Yeah.
You heard it here, folks.
Yep.
All
Heard
that
it here first.
Patreon money
Yep.
and this Bob Barker sending us to Tuscany.
And I've decided I'm going to take all my producers, my co-hosts, and I'm going to take a
about
esteemed guest. I'm going to take an esteemed guest.
And esteemed guest.
All esteemed guests.
Oh,
I think Eric's screwed either way.
Well, but if you're saying all esteemed guests and he's not an esteemed guest, then that's still
Yeah.
the same thing, right?
Right.
Okay.
That's exactly what
That
I'm
was
saying.
the joke. Okay.
That's what I'm saying.
Got it.
nailed it.
Yeah.
How about
So
chili
anyway.
beer, huh?
Chili beer. Yeah. How much? What do we got, Serge? Okay, cool. We got a little bit of time. So, you getting some? You interested to try? So let's. Can you give us the background on this? What this thing is?
It's modest, correct? Modest? Someone correct my pronunciation?
Modest.
Modest Brewing. Moodist Brewing has made a collaboration with Hormel Chili. And they made a beer that tastes like
Hormel or Hormel?
Jamie?
Okay.
Hormel.
Hormel.
Yeah.
Hormel.
Hormel Chili.
Modest is making a beer
Moodist
with
and
Hormel. Moodist is making a beer with Hormel.
and they made a beer that actually tastes
Chile.
supposedly has ingredients from and
Chile.
tastes like Hormel Chile. Hormel Chili. In one of the strangest continuing trends of brands.
But not just the chili, like chili with like melted cheese on it. I think it's supposed to be that flavor, I believe. I don't know.
I just remember watching a video where they put a bucket of stuff that,
Sure.
looked like what was going in chili into it.
Right. And they're sending it, and you can buy it directly from the brewery, and they'll send it to you. Max, esteemed guest and beer buyer
He's
for
going on the trip, huh?
He's getting some chili beer. He ordered it. It's
Yeah.
getting delivered to his place.
Is he
So-
from Minnesota?
No,
Oh.
no. Ohio,
Ohio. Same thing.
land of headhunter.
No.
That's more of a skyline town.
Yeah. That's
What do we
Cincy,
think
I
about this?
I honestly thought it wasn't gloopy enough.
You
Well, it looks clear.
Yeah.
It looks like
shouldn't
a
be
light
gloopy?
lager.
Like,
What do you think, Eric?
I'm ISO.
Are you for
Yes.
real? Yeah.
Yeah, sure. Why not?
What up? It's your boy Eric. I'm ISO Hormel Chile beer.
Yeah.
I need to know if they actually put chili in it.
I think they just put seasonings.
Yeah, probably chili.
There's no, like,
If they
meat.
didn't, yeah.
Yeah, there's no ground beef in it.
I try to leave my like experimentation to like oyster stout.
Sure.
But like when you get like chicken in the mash, that's where I draw the line.
Right.
Right.
I mean, probably unsurprising to a lot of the listeners, I'm just hard out on this kind of novelty-only liquid beer as widget marketing tool thing. And maybe the beer's delicious. I doubt it, but like it's...
How can it be? It cannot be delicious. It cannot be delicious.
Yeah.
Can't be. Can't
Yeah.
be. I'll bet. I mean, if anyone wants to put a bet out there, like I'll take some pretty big odds on it.
Would you
Yeah.
put firkin of it on your beer engine?
If it was good,
Yes.
yeah,
Okay.
yeah. If I can get a firkin of it,
Yeah.
yeah. A
I think
Hormel
you should-
chili beer.
Yeah, absolutely. You
it
should
was
try.
good. Okay.
Yeah.
If I like it.
If you like it.
So you have to know that you like it first, and then you would do it.
Ask.
You wouldn't.
Well, Max is getting a can, so...
You wouldn't just do it.
No,
because of the integrity.
because I'm a hater.
Got it.
Yeah. The integrity of what?
Your
The chili beer?
Yes.
Yeah. The Hormel chili beer.
Wait, I
It's
think if you're someone like Modest, you're like, we're gonna catch a lot of crap
National
for this,
attention,
you
though.
know. But we're also exactly, you're gonna catch some national attention, and why not? Why not just have fun?
They
It's
also-
one beer. The stakes are low.
Didn't they have something?
I'm not hating on this at all.
You're not going to make any
I am
money, though,
myself.
according to our friend Doug. That's a side conversation.
Yeah, that's not. We were having that off air, so I don't know if he wants us to.
Didn't
give his
that brewery
opinion on
get
it.
in a little thing with the Super Bowl? When the Super Bowl was in Minneapolis, they had like a thing.
Oh, really?
Modest, yeah. I
don't know.
do believe it was them. I don't know. The guy who's the night for Bud Light is from Chicago. I don't. The Bud Light night. And I don't know. There was something
Yeah.
about Bud Light night, Modest.
Oh, I thought that was a complete non sequitur or
Yeah,
right
it's just
turn.
random. I think it was them, but I'm not going to look it up
No, don't. That would be
because now they're onto the
antithetical to what we do.
but they're also onto the chili beer.
They're onto the chili beer.
Chili cheese beer.
To be honest, the
Chili cheese beer.
Hormel chili and the Velveeta mixed together makes a great dip.
Right, but does it make a great beer?
I'm going to probably be more with Mike on this one.
No, right? It doesn't. Those aren't flavored. So let's be a little bit okay. Let's talk somewhat seriously about the beer. So why did they make it? They made it just to have fun, right? That's what you were saying, probably, Eric.
What style is it?
It's a
Chili
chili beer.
Chili
Chili
beer.
cheese
What's
dip.
the base before they put it, the chili?
It's a malted ale.
Yeah, it's like a malt beverage. Flavored malt
Blonde
beverage. I
ale.
think.
That's a blonde.
Probably blonde, yeah. They took a bunch of Beguile blonde.
Yeah.
Classic.
Yeah.
Classic. Hormel chili.
So yeah. So
He's cool.
so like as the pro, as not hating and ISO, Eric. So it's just like, hey, it's like whatever.
Sorry, I'm a guy.
Don't
who
be a
likes to
hater.
have fun from time to time.
Right. That's kind of your yeah.
Unacceptable.
There's an
Unacceptable.
entire website, HormelChiliCheeseBrew.com.
They got that? That wasn't taken?
Wasn't taken.
They bought it from me. I had that
Oh,
for a
wow.
while,
I hope
yeah.
you made a...
I was squatting on that domain for years.
and it paid off.
taste-
Finally
Tastiness?
paid off. Yeah.
Wow.
The tastiness
They
of
sent me a
Hormel chili
4-pack
cheese
in
dip
exchange for it.
has come to life as a beer.
Yeah, keep
Pair your
going.
dip with sips when you pick up a 4-pack of this smooth chili cheese spiced ...
Yes. I'm waiting.
Literally a
What
dot
is
dot.
it? What is it?
Well, that was the Google.
Oh. You didn't even click on the link?
I thought they were really trying to keep us in suspense. I was like, beer? Perhaps could be the next word.
Oh, they're all out.
I mean,
oh, yes,
guess-
it's all out.
ultimately, like, I'm happy that craft beer got to a point where it can do this, right? Where
Look,
it's so mainstream and so popular that, like, it's that brands like that would want to engage with it because it's such a culturally relevant thing.
Don't you think
But
that
then-
innovation has been pretty quiet lately in craft beer? This is re-engaging what beer can be.
Yeah.
Get out of here.
And also to like, and who is chili for? I mean, who is beer for?
The working
Working
person.
chili eater.
Yeah.
You know, I'm just a working class chili eater. Who's gonna make a beer for me?
Right.
You know,
Finally.
finally.
Finally, I have something to pair with my chili cheese dip.
Yeah.
Because the Iron City brews, or no, it's the grain belt wasn't working well enough.
Yeah, I want the flavor profile of my beer to exactly match the flavor profile of anything I'm eating. No, I mean, so it's
Yeah,
goofy.
it's called class, dude.
So it's goofy, and I think nobody here is saying it isn't goofy. I think what we're saying is like, who cares? Let them have fun. Stakes are low. Like, don't be a hater.
You only live
Versus, let's all be haters. That's the other. That's the other side of the coin.
I mean, as to be the cynic, how do you not look at this cynically and be like, what about this advances your brewery other than the financial and attention aspects of it?
Those are two advances.
Right, but what like there's no, you're not trying to make better beer, you're not trying to make a more interesting product for other, I don't know.
I mean, if you're
I'm very cynical about this because it stinks.
Oh, I am. You know how
Stinks.
I'm.
I can respect the fact that they didn't throw meat in there
Look at
because
you, always
Wow.
looking for the positive.
That is called damning with faint praise there, Kevin Carey.
well, I'm just thinking to myself that if they're trying to recreate the dips and sips experience, and they want people to enjoy this light beer that has some light chili and cheese flavor, at least they didn't dump actual chili into the mash tun, because that to me is not appetizing.
You know what I think would be interesting?
No, but this
well,
is.
you kind of got interrupted. What were you going to say, Eric? Did you want to say something? Or
Mike
no?
was. I think to counter Mike's point, I was just saying like, they gain this and they gain that. My thought is like, what do you have to lose? Like, who cares?
The
Like,
respect of a
I think,
podcaster.
I think
Yeah,
that
I
is.
was gonna
I think
say.
that is. I think that is the most valid thing. It's like, what do you have to lose? Like, who cares? Just do
like,
it.
but think about how many breweries, like all across the industry, it's just like all you're doing is making new beer, and they come and go. You make 20 barrel batch,
Yeah.
30 barrel batch, 60 barrel batch. Then you're doing the same one next week. Blah blah blah. You can make one that's maybe memorable. Maybe it's not like the thing you want to hang your hat on for the rest of your career, but it could be like, man, that was the thing that made it to where we could pay our people in our tap room better and give them better benefits as a result. Like that to me, it's just like, well, sure. So why not just like give this a shot? And it's a fun thing that can come and go, and so be it. If they get derided and driven out of business, but I don't wish that upon anybody.
So be it. I think you just said so be it. If they get derided and run out of business.
No,
So be it.
I would hate that. Those are the people I've met there have been awesome people, and I've had a great time at their tap room too. They're really accommodating during CBC, and it seems like they have a cool thing going on, and I can see where they're coming from their standpoint. It's like, well, yeah, why would we not do this?
What typically pairs with chili, like chili cheese?
Oyster crackers.
Oyster crackers?
I'd say tortilla chips or Fritos.
Fritos.
Are really good.
Fritos.
too.
Fritos are really
So
good.
that's what I think you should do. I think you should then get
A corn and
ground
salt
paste,
style
a
lager.
ground paste Fritos or tortillas, and then drink your chili beer with, and then eat that. So kind of flip it.
I mean, if
That's
it
what I
does,
would do.
it could. There's a chance the light beer that tastes like chili and cheese might actually pair with a chili and cheese dip.
Yes.
I mean,
It might happen.
Yeah,
it might
Yeah.
pair with it, but will it
it could be complimentary.
taste good?
Could be complimentary.
Could be complimentary.
Okay.
They
Well,
also,
guess what? You'll know if you see a firkin on it. That's how you'll know.
So I was able to figure out what the other thing was.
Yes.
And so it kind of does explain this Hormel chili
Yeah, please.
opportunity
Please.
because it's obviously a parlay into the Super Bowl, which is coming up in 2 weeks. There's a team playing in it. There's two teams.
go Birds.
But they got a cease and desist from Budweiser because they used Dilly. So then they sent a
So chili is what they're
well, they're pivoting
Chili,
from
chili.
dilly,
Chili.
dilly to chili chili. But they sent someone to their tap room to read the cease and desist in like character.
That's pretty funny.
That's pretty funny. It popped up. That was 5 years ago, so that's why we didn't remember.
Got it.
Yeah, but it was a big deal when it happened because I think it was around the same time that they were hosting.
I
the
thought
Super
you.
Bowl.
I honestly, when you said I found out about it, I thought you found out what was after the ... is what you were saying.
So they actually have a whole website, not just the Google
So
summary.
that description's gone. It's not on their website.
Whoa,
So
gone.
that's how rare the beer
Sold
is.
out.
You can't even read the
It's a
whole
whale.
description.
I mean, we will be. I mean, I'm guessing there's a very good chance that I will be trying it since Max jumped on it and has some getting delivered to him. So we'll see. I mean, thumb up, thumbs down, Fade Master. What do you think? How do you feel about the Hormel chili beer, chili cheese beer? Ooh,
2 thumbs up from Serge.
Double thumbs up, way
Yeah,
up. He's
way,
standing
way
up.
up.
He's pointing up. No, all right. So Serge
He
is
pulled 2 out of his back pockets and he's chugging them right now.
He's not down with the chili cheese beer. I just think I think Eric makes a fine point that if you can make money and then with that money you will help your employees or help yourself or whatever you want to do with the money, good for you.
Incredibly
Go for
hard to
I'm also not a business owner like everyone else at this table, so it might be hard to understand that concept.
Oh, yeah.
It might not even also to that point be about the money necessarily.
Might not be or something.
Because I don't know how much money can you make off of a Hormel chili release.
They sold out.
Yeah, but that doesn't mean that
Yeah.
they made a bunch of money.
No, I
It's
know.
chili beer.
It doesn't.
Right.
I mean,
But-
if you sell all of the beer and you didn't make money, then you're a very, very bad business owner.
Yeah, but it's not like I'm just saying it might not be an insane amount of money, like
Sure.
life-changing
And
amount.
I'm not
Right,
even
right,
suggesting that. I'm saying like if it drives interest to their tap room, that's the benefit that you could see. Not about
Yeah.
the beer specifically, but like, oh wow, yeah, like that seems like a fun brewery.
Which is
Why
a
not?
big thing right now is like, what do we have left to innovate? And here we are.
Right.
Like, so these guys are going out of their way in 2023.
Right. Somebody's in like Missouri
Yeah.
and they pull up Google
This
Maps.
isn't-
And they're like, are we going to go to 450 North? Or are we going to go to Hormel Chili Place? We got to pick which direction to go. I don't know. Chili people seems pretty fun. Let's
You could
pack it
also-
up.
I
We're
think
heading
we
north.
need to have a moratorium on the word innovation on this podcast. Like we just shouldn't use it, talk about it ever again.
I already said what I want to see. I said I want the next thing. Food, it's over. Food products. Obviously, there's going to be like a ramen one next. The what Maruchan ramen. Dinty Moore stew. I think I was saying we're going to have a Dinty Moore stew.
Truffle.
Truffle
beer.
Truffle beers.
Isn't there one of those in
100%.
Chicago?
that exists already.
Yeah.
No, it doesn't.
Truffle beer? Oh
Okay.
yeah,
Yeah,
that's like
yeah.
10 years ago, my dad.
Anything like that. There was the Twinkie candy canes out this past Christmas. So obviously, if you want to be on the cutting edge, that's done. What I think people should pair with is whatever celebrity tell-all autobiography is out on the New York Times bestseller and pair with that.
Absolutely.
So I was saying
Like OJ.
Prince Harry.
Like if I didn't do
Right.
it, is how I would do it.
Juicy.
IPA.
Treehouse, natural.
Yeah.
Makes sense.
Prince Harry.
Prince Harry, an English
Bitter.
IPA with ginger and royal honey,
Royal Jelly.
royal jelly, which
yeah,
is honey.
of course.
So I think that would make sense. I mean, you're gonna read the book. We all are. We all know we're gonna read Prince Harry's new book. We
course
got to
I know.
find out the juicy
Got an
G.
advanced copy.
Right. But what if you could also
Need a
go
beer to pair with it.
PrinceHarryBrew.com. I happen to be sitting on that. That's the next big thing.
Yeah, instead of buying Tesla stock, what you need to be doing is buying domain names for potential beer collaborations.
Yeah. So that's the next
and the
thing.
Twitter handle and
That's
the
right.
Insta handle.
That's my new prediction.
Senior Steak.
Obi Chris Quinobi has come back.
He's back, baby.
He's back, and that is the prediction. That's his lock of the week, baby. That the new collabs are going to be New York Times bestseller, celebrity, ghost-written autobiographies. paired
White ales
with
for
your
the ghosts.
favorite beer styles.
Yeah, from whatever local brewery,
Yeah,
artisanal local brewery
yeah, exactly.
that really cares about the liquid.
Handcrafted, hand labeled.
And hey, if you don't like it, if you think that's a stupid idea, then obviously you don't care about
You don't
the
get
employees. You don't get care of the employees
Yeah,
of
you just don't get
breweries.
it.
You hate employees of breweries.
Yeah.
What if it's a autobiography about a chili magnate
Then you make it
from
chili
the
beer.
Midwest?
Or you make a tortilla
That's
beer.
Yeah.
Yeah. I think you should. I
Yeah.
think you should do that.
Tortilla chip beer.
They're not really celebrities. I'm thinking like celebrities. I want. That's
Like
what I
the
think.
Will
I think this is
Smith,
real. Yes.
A beer that slaps.
Right.
You know, something like that.
Exactly. Exactly. A beer that slaps. This beer slaps. Oh, that's good. I like that one.
Thank you.
See how good this is?
Yeah.
Can't miss. My lock of the week. Anyway.
Anyway, what
So
a show.
Hormel chili beer.
If you have it, write in. Tell us how you feel
Oh,
about
yeah,
it.
please do.
If you liked it.
If you ordered it, obviously we know
Better
how you
yet,
already feel about
if you
it.
send us a video of you drinking it, we'll play the audio on the show.
I mean, there's a good chance that I will. Well, there's a 100% chance I will talk to someone who's had it, but I will get to try some. I think there's a decent
do you only
chance.
get one can?
I think it's 4-pack, right?
4-pack.
Oh, you said, Kevin?
And he's,
4-pack, yeah.
and
That was
he's-
the ...
I hope so badly that Max just crushes all four of them and doesn't bring one in
I
to
couldn't
share
help
with you
myself.
guys.
It was so
It
good.
was so good. I had to
He
drink
had
all
every
four
plan on bringing it in, but he had one sip and
he
was
was
like,
like,
oh,
"Oh, God."
my gosh.
It's like the Entertainment and Infinite Jest where he just like drank all of them and peed himself.
I guess. I didn't read Infinite Jest. I'm not into
Neither did I.
torture. But, so anyway, yeah, but maybe a beer could be paired with Infinite Jest. I don't know.
Maybe.
Yeah, really hard to get through beer.
Yeah. Like a
It's
Belgian
an achievement.
style sour
It's an
beer.
achievement to get through the beer
Yeah.
that you brag about, that you drank the whole thing.
Like something really thick.
Yeah. Well, is there anything that anybody would like to say before we get out of here? Eric, thanks for coming on a regular show. Now you see that the regular shows are every bit as great as the wacky shows.
As an esteemed guest, I appreciate you having me here.
Oh, that's great. Maybe someday you will be.
Wait.
Aspirational. I love it.
You got it. Yeah, you got to.
It is
Thanks.
nice to be surrounded by fellow esteemed guests
Oh,
with great hair.
see?
Thank you. I do have great.
Will it into existence. Hey, so now I know he's just... I mean, everyone else has hair but me. That's not cool.
Even Serge.
Even Serge has hair.
Kevin, you got anything going on?
I do. Yeah.
Cool.
All right. And it's,
Shut it down, Serge.
No, don't shut it down. No, don't. What do you want to talk about?
I wasn't sure if this was appropriate time to talk about it.
Oh boy, are we gonna get heavy? Is this about to get really heavy?
No, I think he was setting me up to talk about a party that we're having in a couple of weeks.
Oh, okay.
Yeah.
What seems like an appropriate time because we're about to end the show.
So what is this party, Kevin?
The show notes. I guess we could put it in the show notes.
Yeah, so it's a good party. So it's our second 10th anniversary party.
What
does
was your
that
first
mean?
10th anniversary
It's
party?
Oktoberfest anniversary, which is the last time I think I was on the show or around then, or was right
Got it.
after or something.
Okay.
But anyways, we're partnering with this other bottle shop in town called Bottles and Cans.
Oh,
We'll bleep that out.
I've heard of them.
My favorite. They're their best. They're
Eric's
best.
favorite.
Yeah, I love them so much. Carly's
yeah.
the best. Eric's great over there. Just one of the most welcoming and friendly stores in Chicago. I'm a
Yeah.
massive fan.
Do you-
Genuinely,
How's
they've been awesome.
How's their
to me.
podcast?
Well, I've been angling to try and get you guys to do a little mash. I think you should do a mashup. You could do a little.
Do they have a podcast?
They don't, no, but I
I was
would.
just joking. I'm sure it's great if they did have one.
Yeah, Carly on the beer table podcast, Beer Temple podcast. Great. Anyways, we're throwing a party right behind your house, Chris.
When is it?
February 18th. Eric is going to be there. If you guys are nice to him.
Day after my birthday.
Yeah. We're going to have a yacht rock cover band.
Okay.
We're going to have a 90s and 2000s cover band. We're going to have a bluegrass band.
Whoa.
Yeah.
A new metal
Very
band?
No, that's going to be the 10th anniversary party that we do. Yeah.
Slide over to a maybe in personal attendance, but
Do you want to start a new metal band?
we'll talk off there.
Awesome.
We might have a slot for you guys if you can get it together.
All right, it's together.
Yeah, cool. You'll be outside.
We mostly just play songs off of our iPad, but
If you
That's
had a
fine.
new metal band, Eric, what would it be called?
I don't know. He's putting me on the spot right now.
What if it was a new metal cover band? What would it be called?
I'd have to think
Down
about
with the Sickness or something?
That's horrible.
Okay.
Embarrassing.
Yeah, that's
Rollin'.
embarrassing. Rolling. That's a good one.
I don't know about that either.
Backwards red cap.
Durst.
Yeah.
Durst. Derp.
I think I'd probably
Anyway,
Durst.
I'd probably call it something like "Did It All for the Chinooki" or something like that.
the
Got
Chinook,
it.
like the hop.
Yeah.
Anyway,
That's pretty good.
Good.
But yeah, so we're having this party to
Put it all for
celebrate
the
our.
Chinooki. That's who you should do a collab with. You should do a collab with Fred Durst or whoever that band is that he was in, and call it. Yeah, but did it all for the Chinooki.
that's already a beer.
That's pretty good.
Is it really?
It's a beer, but it's not a band.
That's right. It's not a band.
How many beers have been named after bands?
How many bands have been named after
beer?
beers?
How many
This
beers
show
have been
has
inspired
gone
by music?
so off the rails, down the drain.
So February 18th, I did it all for the Chinooki, headlining. Best friends turn 10. Also, that's not to diminish our friendship.
Okay, thank you. I get it.
They're just closer in proximity.
Next time-
You moved next to me after the fact.
It's true. It's okay. They deserve it. They are great.
We turned 10 the same month. When did you open?
January. Our 10th was unannounced. That was a couple weeks ago.
I was just going through our old invoices and I found my first Beer Temple self-distro.
Nice.
It was January 13th.
Yeah, that was
something
probably
like
our
that.
second week.
Yeah.
Yeah.
So
there you go.
Wow.
I mean, we've been with you since day one. That's cool.
no, it's cool. I remember doing a tasting at the old place. It was great.
right.
Well, that's why you're gonna be there at our best friend's turn 10 party because
Well,
you just turned
hopefully.
10.
Yeah, hopefully.
I got your plus
bad.
one, man. I promise.
Oh, thanks.
Yep.
Well, that sounds great.
Should be fun.
February 18th. And unless you have anything else you would like to say, Mr. Kapraun.
No, I'm good. Shout out to Carly and Bottles and Cans. Love them so much.
Cool.
Not
All
a
right.
lot-
Happy anniversary to you and Beguile.
Bleep that, Serge.
We're going to have a really esteemed guest on next time, like a real esteemed guest.
My dad.
Yeah.
No, I'm just
No.
kidding.
Let's just get out of here. We'll see you next week.
Remember this is what we wanted. Remember this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again. Remember this is what we wanted. Remember this is what we said. To never be heard or seen from again.